Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to the Thursday night craft and paint chill stream, I guess. Um, the boy and I have been talking about this for a while, needing to get back to our roots, and that being painting and crafting and not opening boxes, despite what the little guy was going on about. That was pretty funny, but we miss it. Um, we miss doing this, and we've been kind of slacking off, and we've got a crap ton of stuff on our table that needs getting done. So that's what we're going to do tonight. The link is in the chat. I'll post it again if anybody's having troubles with it. There's Brian. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Oh, let me turn this volume off. Yeah.
Hey, no worries, man. Blast people,
What's up, dude?
Hey, I got to show you this, man. My friend Crafting made this 3D.
Oh, yeah.
You saw these?
I saw that when you did the opening.
You know what? I'm such a dork. Jackie, the one Jackie got, the tip actually glows in the dark, and I am a fanatic about glow in the dark stuff. And I know the color. I mean, I deal with that color of glow in the dark plastic, and it didn't even strike me. Didn't even think about it. And I'm like, oh man! But it actually holds a good old fashioned traditional set of D&D dice. With a little room to spare, including 3D6s. It does take like a half hour to open up, as you can tell. But I could probably fit in another couple of D4s or maybe a D8 in there, something like that. But it's got a percentile dice set in it. It's got 3 6s and one of everything else. So, when I go through customs and they freak out, what the hell is this? I'll just say, just unscrew the cap. They'll be like, oh, no. I have to get the bomb squad out. And I'll be just like, you guys need to lighten up. And again, not really, right? So I'm going to preview my Orktober Challenge craft real quick here. We're working on that. I don't know if you saw it, but there was from the Dollar Tree, they had this spider candy dish, okay? So.
Damn.
I turned it into wait.
That's awesome. Oh, awesome. Some kind of evil contraption of doom.
Well, actually, Crafting Gamer also printed me out some orcs. So I'm gonna have this orc dude riding up front like this is his own personal force field generating 40K kind of monstrosity, real old school. Mind you, almost everything on here is just like straws to make the armor and stuff like that. I cheaped it out. This doohickey on the back that actually turned out really cool looking is just the nozzle from a spray gun, like a bottle of awesome. There's Bo.
What's happening? What's up?
What do you think, man? What do you think? Is that just
it looks like a pistol ball to me. I can't see a whole lot on the screen.
Oh, okay. We'll come back later and check it out. It's this little like strobe light that orcs are like famous for force fields. So I'm like, it was actually sitting in, I had a pile of all this Halloween stuff and it was just sitting in the candy dish. And I'm like, oh my God, Eureka. I know what I'm doing for the challenge for the Orktober challenge. It's not really World War II, but I suppose if I take the orc off it,
It'd be weird World War II for sure.
And, we took some of these skeletons from the dollar store that also glow in the dark. And Jackie's not done with his. I'm going to have to help him out tonight. But I made a Grim Reaper out of baby wipes, barbecue skewer, and one of those skeletons. I mean, it literally cost me like less than 50 cents to make this bad boy. And I'm telling you, like, check out the back of the cloak.
Yeah, man,
you can't get texture like that without spending like $50 in Milliput or green stuff. It's just dried baby wipes.
That's awesome. Right. Dried baby wipes.
I'm serious. Dried baby wipes, white glue and water, mix it up and once the baby wipes are dried out, cut them in strips or shapes, and it works like a freaking charm, man. Now Lethotep, I don't know if you've seen him before.
I know who he is or what he is.
Okay, here we got the King in yellow.
There he is. Very
It's
nice.
all baby wipes and green and milliput.
That's awesome, dude.
I mean, again, I paid more for the milliput's kind of expensive, but I got a cheap Dollar Tree little plinth thing, whatever, to base it on. And I'm telling you, man, King in yellow.
Cool. Very cool.
But yeah, it really works out great for, making ghosts or whatever. Even on a small scale, I made a Sam Hain back like our first year out of not chicken wire, just, jewelry wire to make the frame, and I found these really cool pumpkin beads, and just little shreds of baby wipes to make his robes and stuff. And, it's very 25 mil compatible. Instead of trying to learn how to sculpt milliput, because this stuff, it's like $10 a pack now where I live, and they don't always have it. I think I
just bought a pack that was I think it was 7 or 8.
It's $9.99. It's $9.99 here. And,
I'm sure in California it causes cancer and third arms, so you got to pay extra taxes for toxic chemicals and shit.
Supreme gas is like over $6 a gallon here.
$8. Literally $8. It was $8. Unless you got like the extra, the standard milliput's $8 or $8.
No, it's $9.99, and the fine stuff, which I really don't like for sculpting at all. It's good for filling cracks and things like that.
If you want to sculpt stuff, milliput is kind of soft, right?
Yeah.
If you green stuff, like
green
stuff, mix them together, and it makes it kind of because green stuff gets kind of hard. It's kind of hard to work with.
Yeah,
but if you
really
mix them together, it does really well.
Yeah, because you get the smooth texture of the green stuff, but you get the hardness of the milliput.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. I've been meaning to, but when I can find one, I can't find the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some green stuff somewhere, but that stuff goes bad really fast if you're not careful with it.
The newer green stuff, you can finally get it where the green and the blue are not touching in the package, because once it starts to touch, you can't use the parts where they touch.
Right. I didn't think about that, but thanks for the tip of using Vaseline on the sculpting tools.
Yeah.
I would have never thought of that. We tried other stuff, sort of, like just keeping our hands wet or vegetable oil, and that didn't work. But yeah, because we tried our hand, in the beginning of working with the stuff, and it really, you've got to really want to use it and really, dedicate yourself. Like, I am going to use this stuff, come hell or high water, or it will just sit there drying out. And last time I bought some, it took because I got it right from Green Stuff World in Spain, and it took like a month. But somewhere I still have the box they sent. I freaking love those sort of coloring book looking boxes they send stuff in. And I got a few other things, a leaf punch, which I was talking to James L about. Those are phenomenal. If you're doing like a diorama or a larger base, then you want it to look like there's leaves on the ground instead of just your typical green flock or something like that. I started using construction paper, but then I got the genius idea of pressing some, really cool leaves. Now that it's fall, great time to do it. And I just punched leaves, little miniature leaves out of leaves.
Right.
And it really.
They have hole punches that make leaves, don't they? Like
that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, is that what you're okay.
And I know that the company Green Stuff World gets a bad rap for their lawsuit.
Shystiness.
Yeah, well, they like to sue. But in terms of my dealing with them as a customer, I have never had a problem with them. Even
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I really like everything they
shipping from
put
Spain
out.
it's been reasonable. I mean, it's kind of slow boat. It takes a week to get here, but it's not bad.
No,
And
no.
that means I'm a villain too. That's fine. I don't care anymore. I can be a villain.
I've never tried their paints, but I've been tempted. But the leaf punch was great.
Their version of contrast paint is not much. It comes in 2-ounce bottles.
Nice.
2-ounce bottles, and I know that I do use contrast paints on occasion. You know, I do. It's not that I don't use them; it's that I'm trying to learn techniques that don't use them. I don't want to rely upon them, but yeah, I've tried their dark red. It's either burgundy, they're purple. They've got a couple of different shades of green. And I just buy onesies and twosies. I'm trying not to buy any more paints right now until I use some up.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna let my army paint, not contrast or speed paint, but my other army paints, when they're empty, I'm not refilling them. I'm gonna go with believe it or not, Reaper or Vallejo. I've got a Games Workshop right nearby, but every time I go in there, I'm the prices for everything are so crazy. The guy who works there is a really nice guy, but their policies just make me very angry.
GW fucked this hobby. I mean, listen, I've been in it like for a long time, and their damn prices have just, my God, there's no reason for the prices that we're paying. There isn't.
Nope. I was no
fucking reason for it, and I hate it because everybody, even the third party small fry guys, are pricing their shit like GW because people are used to paying that bullshit.
You know who's not? Well, actually, I can't really say that entirely. Excuse me. Archon Studios did a live stream today, and I was talking to them, and their Kickstarter prices.
Yeah, until they come out with more science fiction stuff, I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's coming. It's just
well,
fantasy's always going to take the lion's share. Okay. Agreed, Cal. I didn't get into the hobby because of GW, but I did get into the model aspect of the hobby more so. With other than miniatures, like Grenadier and Ralparka back in the day.
See, that's the thing. It's like now, like Cal, I agree with you. Okay, don't get me wrong. A lot of us were introduced to wargaming through GW. Okay, I'm not naive to that. Okay, but the problem, and GW wasn't the GW that we walked into in the late '80s. Okay, it's not the same fucking company.
They were back in the day. They were freaking incredible. The way they
were gamers, man.
The way they inspired us to kit bash, to craft
their
own
stuff.
stuff.
Publicly traded company now, and you have to expect them to act like a publicly traded company.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, let's see.
They're in it. They're in it to make money.
I get it.
Can't blame them.
I'm a capitalist. I'm with it, but it's because of their bullshit that limits the community. Just think how many people out there that cannot. Most people can't afford this shit.
It's true.
They can't. So they hamstring, the community because they can't fucking do it. They can't play it. And then, then you have like the two camps. You have the camps that are like, well, if you can't afford it, then too fucking bad. This is an expensive hobby and you got to deal with it. Or you got those who just they're trying to come up with their own shit. Try to find an alternative. Those are your 3D printer kind of guys,
Right. Well, I said the kit bashers, the 3D printers, the proxy modelers.
Yeah, garage kit
makers. The guys that go out and find model kits that, if you squint, look like a Games Workshop tank. Then, go for it. I've got, like I said, trying to fight against them at this point is trying to like the little Dutch boy trying to hold back the broken dam. The only thing you can do is make yourself happy. don't try to fight against Games Workshop. Go your own way.
Yeah, I don't
Don't-
try to fight against them. I mean, but
No, but I mean, even bitching about them. I mean, I've done my share of
Yeah.
it, and I agree.
yeah,
But I mean, there are other companies that are making minis that are getting better all the time, including in plastics. And I've highlighted some of them, including guys like Archon and Perry Brothers and War Games Atlantic. So instead of just tearing them down, just promote the stuff that you like, right? And as far as rules, same way. You want to play a war game that's got the feel of older 40K, like 7th edition 40K. You play one-page rules, right?
and that's Trader. That's what I play.
You play Rogue Trader?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
When was the last time you played Rogue Trader?
Last time I played was last year.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Really, play Rogue Trader, you need 3 players, though, right? You really need a game master to make.
Listen, if you got 2 gamers that are doing it for fun and they're playing it to the story, you don't need a third.
With the third, you got because you can then hide the anbuls, the non, and because the DM, the third party, the third player can play the monsters, the zotes.
Oh, it's easy to play the monsters. The person who's not fighting him plays the monster, and there's always a die roll. There's a random event die roll that replaces the third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bought a few Mantic items there, Cal, but I've heard some stuff. But to be honest, what I liked about Mantic the most was their terrain crate stuff, and I've got so much terrain now. I don't even know what to do with it all. I'll have to go look back. And I think James L was showing me some stuff they did, or it might have been War Games Atlantic. I know I saw some War Games Atlantic, like a box of spiders. I'm like, oh my God, I have got to get that. Because
the joke with Mantic is that they save money by not printing instructions.
Yeah,
instructions.
That's just lazy, dude.
They didn't even print instructions.
I mean, I got to come in, to defend Brian on this, because whenever we play, it's just more of a, let's see what works here, and let's try hammering out rules, and we just trust each other.
Just gamers.
Yeah, exactly. It's we're playing a game for fun, and don't get me wrong, I don't mind where they used to have the GM. The problem that I had with it was, it was really meant for squad combats. Anything above about 2 squads, and it just was too much.
Yeah.
I'm almost at the very bottom of my accelerator.
Uh-oh. Accelerator. You
fancy spray paint super glue accelerator. Yeah, I love this stuff.
Man, it's fancy. I'm still the one that holds it. Like
with the your thing.
You know what it's really good for. What it's really good for is getting into those spots after the super glue is in there in those really like tight fitting spots, and you just spray it in there and it'll drip or run in there, and you can go back to what you're doing. I had carpal tunnel, so holding stuff steady kind of just doesn't agree with me much these days.
For me, if I really felt like it, and the problem is I don't have a dedicated area, it's because I'd rather have RPG books. But having 2 airbrushes and then just doing a little bit with the regular brush would be just fine with me. Especially you just do the underprinting, and if you can get some good stencils, man, I really love it how that goes over some of the larger surfaces for the larger things.
Make some like decal stencils, like for like American, like World War II American stars, like for vehicles. And
those would be cool. I've seen them where they do, where it has like the what I would call them, like the leopard skin patterns and stuff like that when you spray it. And so you spray the stencil, and then whatever goes through gives them those little spots, things like that. The problem is, and I don't know enough about it, is getting pigments that are fine enough for the smaller airbrushes.
Yeah.
Hey Cal, send me some photos, because I really, mind you, I saw that box set like a year ago. I wrote it down, and I haven't got it. I'd love to see what you did with them.
I'm going to mention one other thing, and I wish GW would do this because I really loved it for their Space Hulk. Why don't you get some push fit, high quality miniatures like you had in Space Hulk?
No, they're doing that all the time now. The press fits. Most gamers don't want the press fits because they, if you end up with 2 boxes of press fits, it looks like your guys are a river dance troupe. But these chaos cultists that I got are press fit.
Yeah, but you know what? That is not nearly the quality that they had for Space Hulk.
These are almost as good as the Space Hulk Space Marines. Not quite, I'll grant you, but these, I'm going to paint these up right now. And these are nice. These are the their version of their skirmish game, their Age of Sigmar skirmish game.
Oh,
Shadow Vault? No. Shadow something.
Well, my whole point is I want to actually play a game rather than just sit there and paint all day.
Hey. We have got plenty of time for that on the interwebs to actually game. I mean, really not enough time.
No. I mean, for a board game, it's a lot easier to, when they're press fit, you press fit and then you can put out the board and go. I mean,
sure. And I was watching again with the Archon Studios. They're going to not only be either printing in color, like multiple colors on the same model,
okay,
and or pre-painting some of the stuff. Okay, if anybody can make that affordable, it's those guys, because when you do their Kickstarters, those prices are unfreaking believable for what you get. And I know that aftermarket, when you go to their store, it's not the same ball game. They're charging, in my opinion, too much. But
I don't know, man. The whole culture of, I think the whole culture of this crowdfunding thing has really gone off the rails, man.
Yeah. Really, I wouldn't own. I wouldn't own a quarter of what I do.
The initial intent was fantastic. It's like, look, we have this great idea. Help us cover the cost for it. Now you got companies who are just like stringing people along. You need to pay us more to get what we need because it went over, but whatever.
Hey, just because I lost $450 on one, which I'm pissed off.
You know what? Peterson Games tried pulling that with me for my last bit of the Kickstarter for Cthulhu Wars. They tried pulling that with me, and I just ignored them, and I forgot about it. And a week later, my stuff finally showed up after, pre-pandemic.
But the intent was there. The intent.
Yeah. Well, they wanted like $20. I paid for $100 worth of merchandise that included $10 on shipping before the fact, before it was ready, a couple of years ago, like 4 years ago almost. And I paid, I gave them what they asked. I gave them what they asked for. And then suddenly they want to, change the arrangement. I'm like, no, that's not what we agreed on. I thought we were gentlemen here. And now you want, another $25 for shipping. So $35, it wasn't even a big box, I'm like, no.
Well, I mean,
back first,
I mean, I'll say this much. As much as they talked about it, I finally got the gambler's chest for the for Kingdom Death. And I mean, that thing is a beast. I mean, and that was one that, to be fair, and people were rightfully mad that hadn't showed up. Well, it finally showed up. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I got the other stuff from the first Kickstarter. But to me, when you're doing, and I understood this, all I'm doing is I'm paying you for development time, and you're giving me a cut rate so you can get that off. Now, that said, is for, what I'm having a problem with, and this is where Mythic Games burned me, because I said, oh, we've got this game. I said, look, you're doing something for Privateer Press. Privateer Press already has the models. You're just doing it. You're just upscaling it so they can do it real fast, because you have all the contacts in China. They said 1 year. I said, hey, son, do you want to do this? I looked at him. Oh, this is cool. It's a good, fun game. We can go through it. I don't need high quality plastic miniatures. I need them where I can throw them in a box. We can play. I was like, oh, I'm all for this. And man, and I understand shipping, but you know what? There's like 3 Kickstarters ahead and they're nearly bankrupt, or they are effectively bankrupt. I said, you know how hard is this? You should be able to put it out there, but no, they want to do.
Hey Mel, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to work.
Get your man back home. We're happy for you.
Thank you. Nah.
See you later.
Y'all have fun.
Yep.
Thank you.
This
You're
is the
welcome
problem that I have
anytime
with
to
it
pop in, Mel.
is they should not be using previous Kickstarter, the current Kickstarter to fund previous Kickstarters. You know what? If you need
I've
to,
seen that too.
just raise your price. No, I'll say this much, which I talk about 30 pounds of cardboard, paper, and other stuff, was the Frosthaven. That was a good deal. That said, it's so large, I don't think I can ever bring it to a table unless I have a dedicated gaming room.
Welcome to my world of Shadows of Brimstone, man. I've got literally like 2 or 3 cubic meters of boxes because I saved all the boxes for some dumb reason because the artwork's beautiful and I'm just a hoarder, I guess.
Hey, Shadow, you have nothing on my friend. My friend literally has I don't know, I think his house is like 2,500 square feet, and like every room has board games. He has, they're in his bathroom. He bought the
I don't have them in the bathroom yet, but
no.
I used to have stuff in the kitchen.
Well, the only reason he doesn't have in the kitchen is because the kitchen's open to the living room, which has more boxes. His entire bedroom wall is covered with boxes going up about 6 feet. So when you're like, oh, I've got this, I'm like, that's nothing. He has all the Shadows of Brimstone. He has all the Conan. He has all he went to Gen Con. I said, man, I'm not sure I should he says, that game looks kind of cool. I don't have it. He comes home and he gets in there. He literally they were joking that he has backed over 400 Kickstarters. And that's not a joke. So yeah, and what he did is he had some of his friends paint up his Shadows of Brimstone miniatures.
Hey Raven, hey Mini Warmut. Welcome to the show. Thanks, Mini Warmut. I got a lot of responses from your challenge. So next time you do one, let us know. You want to pop in and paint or craft or do something for the next hour or two. The link's there if anybody's having trouble with it. I got room for 2 more. I was hoping Jackie was going to join me, but you know how he is. It is a school night, and he's got homework.
And I can always drop off at any time. The other thing I have, these are the ones I would like to paint, which are just regular ones, are my Star Wars Rebellion miniatures. Because I have that game, which I'd like to play. Maybe I can grab Brian at some point. I don't know if he'd be interested.
Well, I'm not gonna paint them for you. I'll play them with you.
No. I don't mean you have to paint them, dude. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, when it comes to Star Wars, I bought in a lot of the Star Wars miniature games. The ones that came in the booster box nonsense, whatever. I bought them way after the fact for Jackie to play with when he was just a little tiny tyke. He was like 4, 5, 7 years old. He didn't lose a single one of them. Bucketed them all back up when he was done, and they're all. It was perfect, soft plastic, nothing poking his eyes out and stuff like that. And he still, eyeballs the buckets from time to time. And we never played the game once. It was just him, doing the kid thing with Army Men. But for him, it was Star Wars.
Well, let's see. I have Star Wars Rebellion, which is a board game. So that's pretty big, along with the expansion. I'm tempted to buy the Dune one with the expansion and all the miniatures in there. My Conan one, I like those miniatures. They're soft, they're not the super crisp, but they're crisp enough that I like the Conan. So yeah, those are just regular miniatures. And then I got the Tainted Grail, which those miniatures are just weird looking.
Bow and Mutt. I didn't know you guys were that close.
And then the final one that I have, which I'm afraid
I'm just dry brushing.
It's because they're so tiny. Is the
Yeah, me too. Dollar
oh,
Tree can't beat it.
my Kingdom Death stuff, which I have like, what is it? The 12 expansions plus now the Gambler set expansion plus the basic, and I'm like, oh man, if I win
You
the
know, I
lottery,
I eyeballed that Kingdom Death. There were some really,
I want
really
that Milk Mother one.
I don't have that one, but by God, I have. I mean, you want to talk about miniatures, and they're so tiny, and they're really highly detailed. But I'm like, crap, it's
James L. He's talking about Warlord. Okay, just in my sphere of influence, my weird World War II, they have gone apeshit on prices for Conflict 47. I mean, it is outrageous.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, out like 40K.
Yeah, I thought that. Now, Brian, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought that the starter boxes for bolt action were really reasonable.
Okay. I give you, the starter sets. If you have nothing, and you're walking into it, they're great. That's all you need, because that's probably all you're ever going to need to play. You know what I mean?
But that's not Conflict 47. That's bolt action.
Or the Conflict 47 one's not bad either.
I mean,
Again, if you want anything else, it's fucking expensive as hell.
They always charge too much for leaders, or the units that you really need to win if you're playing to win, right? Oh, you want this leader? Oh, that'll be $30. You're kidding me. At least that's how Games Workshop always did it.
well, you know what? It's the original Games Workshop. I got 30 miniatures in a box for Space Marines.
Yeah, for 20
in
bucks.
plastic. What's that?
30.
In plastic, and they had enough heads and everything else where you could make the leader. The only thing they didn't have were the other special weapons, which is what I would have liked. But yeah, I mean, to me, I understand, now in retrospect, the cost of doing those really high plastic molds and things. But honestly, if it comes to terrain, you know what? At work, we have a 3D printer that does filament just so they can use it for construction to show people what's going on. I don't need it to be super detailed. It just has to be close enough. You put on the board, you're like, good. I don't need something like, what is that, like Thomas Kincaid level, detail crap. I mean, honestly, everyone else, I know you guys all do this, like, oh, well, we're going through it. And to be fair, Brian and his pygmies, he does a good job on the painting, absolutely fantastic. But if you come play with me, look, they're going to be bare bones. And if you're lucky, I might have them. I might have there might be a base coat on there. And if I really wanted to, I'm like, okay, I will do a couple other things. But some of it is, having to sit down and do this. And, I don't want to breathe in all the fumes and everything else. So, I have enough problems. If I'm going to breathe in fumes, they better be from steak. So there's
meat.
Well, Brian's been over there. I've offered him that one time.
He's a meat fanatic, man. He's a meat connoisseur.
Oh,
So here's the trade-off, guys. And again, let's temper this with who we are, what we've been in the fucking hobby for a long time. We've seen the prices go up and down or whatever. Okay. Would it be better served for a company to sell a product, right, that's relatively cheap, and still make a decent profit, and have a larger customer base, right, more gamer base, or jack up the prices and have it like a luxury fucking item?
So I've looked at this thing when you're first coming in.
Well, the thing is with gaming, it's like you got to have somebody to game against. So
no, Games Workshop doesn't care if there's anybody to game against. They don't even care if you put together your models. They want you to buy them. If you put them on a shelf or you throw them in the dumpster, once they've got your money, they don't give a rat's ass what you do with the models once they've got your money.
Okay, but I'm going to bring this up, which is when you're trying to get market share, then it absolutely goes through. But here's what I would like is, because I'm a gamer first, and then I think that the miniatures are really cool and stuff, but I much prefer a skirmish game where it's easier for me to do 5 or 10 models than it is to do 60 or 70. Though I will say this much. What was when Mantic was doing their Dead Zone at the beginning? You know what? You get a basic box in there where you could probably add a few more. You get that nice terrain. You make the rules nice and simple. For those of us who really want to do the actual like war gaming aspect, to me, and this is one of the reasons I liked Games Workshop in the 80s, was the tactics actually made sense. They said why they were using ranges. It was intended for a war gamer. Nowadays, all they're trying to do is sell to people who want to painters, collectors, the hobbyist, that group, and then to have the play. I'm sorry, if you have to put 300 models behind a single building, it's just not any fun. It's stupid
Your
looking.
mechanics are fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They're ridiculous. They're ridiculous. I'm not an army guy. I'm not a military man, but I read tactical shit because I play in a tactical real world way. You know what I mean? And you cannot do real world fucking tactics in a 40K game. It's just not designed to do that.
No, it's not. I mean, ranges are retarded.
Yeah.
You were to say something, Bo?
Well, we're missing. Look, this is the point that I think that no one is getting, and this is how Games Workshops gets you. You have to divorce the company that makes the miniatures from the company that makes the rules. Because if they make the rules, they're going to encourage you to buy as many minis as possible. So what you want to play a game like Stargrave or Frostgrave that uses 10 minis on the side, and then use whatever minis you want.
Well, see, this is why I like doing the 5 parsecs from home.
Yeah, that's another good Space Weirdos. There's a lot of good mini agnostic games out there right now.
Well, the other point is, I got enough miniatures. I just want to play with what I want to play with, and but you're right. As long as once the company becomes public, which what Games Workshop did, they realized by jacking up the price and reducing the customer base, because what they're going for are the whales. I saw where they were showing with mobile games, whales represent like something like 0.2% or less of the population, but they represent over 50% of the purchases.
Sure, in-game purchases.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, that's very similar with Games Workshop. Here, I'll buy everything. I'll do this, and all I can think is, I just want to, growing up as a kid in the, early 80s, and the first game I had, as much as people talk about D&D, one of my favorite things to do, which I bought a little bit after D&D, was just the good old Star Frontiers. I hear people, well, the rules were crap. No, the rules were fast. They were easy to understand. It didn't take a lot to go through it. We could run through a battle very quickly. You shoot the monsters down very quick. Everything was pretty fast. And what I loved is I am happy to play with counters as much as I am to play with miniatures. Miniatures are for those extra special, what I used to think is, only the rich guys have them, which were really, to be honest, the people that were in their 30s and above that actually had disposable income. Whereas here I am making $10. Actually, at the time, it was less than $10 a week. And I'm like, I can buy one module, if that. Or like the Fiend Folio would take me 3 weeks to save up for. And what I think that they're forgetting is this much. It worked, and Games Workshop actually has a lot going for it as far as its IP. Its IP is fantastic. I just bought another Humble bundle for their Warhammer RPGs.
Well, their IP has had the benefit of close to 40 years now of countless people working on it and bringing it, and improving it.
We
all borrow from people, right? We all borrow our ideas and what suggestions from other sources. But GW, I not the original GW, the new corporate GW, they fucking want to brand it all as their own, as its own unique.
Well, they got burned.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
They got burned in Chapter House. The Chapter House burned them bad because they tried, they overextended it, and then they said, nope, you can't do that. But no, I mean, those are the, let's be honest. I want to play a game. And the other part is I would love to impart that game onto my son. and less on painting. Is I just want to play with him. That's all I really care about. Hey, son, let's go play some games. All of this stuff of, well, and I know Shadow does, hey, I'm going to sit down and we're going to do this together. Honestly, if I'm going to do that, son, we're going to go plant a bunch of trees for 6 hours in my farm.
Put him to work.
You know what, though? He's quite happy to come out there with me. And then, we'll go out there at like 10 a.m. We'll go work. Then we'll go eat lunch.
My son
together.
too, but he's got that in his, it's in his genetics. He can't help it. You show him a
You
lawnmower.
hang
Or a
around
leaf
James
blower.
too long, dude.
No, you
No,
show him
no.
a lawnmower or a leaf
Justin too
blower.
much.
Leaf blower, and he wants to. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for me, it's like, look, if I want solar panels and stuff, my son's there.
Just had ours put in.
Yeah, but I mean, literally, my son just spent yesterday not doing his lessons, but instead trying to hook up some device to the solar panel so he could charge it immediately, bypassing a bunch of stuff. And I went, "All right, kid, you're way ahead of me out there." I just nod my head and go, "Okay."
Yeah, just make sure he's wearing like a full wetsuit and yeah.
Well, I always joke about it, but when he was 3 years old, his mother was yelling at him not to put a knife into the electrical socket again because it would turn his fingers black. He's fine. He understands that. But, I'm like, look, you're already set. All these people try and go to college. I'm like, son, you're going to become an electrician just because that's what you love.
Yeah.
Like, look, you'll be making money. You'll be about you'll be about 200,000 to 300,000 ahead of your peers. By the time they graduate school, you might even be ready to almost form your own business. Yeah, I mean, that's.
Hey, nerds, welcome to the show.
So yeah,
go ahead, Brian. I mean,
no. I'm looking at this. As I get older, like you were talking about the space, man, can't we just have the good old ships that are going, back and forth? If I don't want to, when everyone talks about the hobby, to me, it's like doing the scrimshaws inside of the bottle. It's awesome to look at, but I want to play. That's.
Well, yeah, I know we all do. James is talking here about 15 mil. I'm really, really starting to see the allure of that with not just the games, but one of the really like the very first war game I played, other than the one my dad and I made up together, which was so far back that it was not much more than him and I just playing Army Men at the table. I got in with Epic Space Marine 6 mil. I could field like a couple of handfuls of tanks, and drop them on the table, and there was like 20-30 tanks. I really, really like the idea of the full, this isn't just a skirmish, this is a freaking war, or at least a slice or a wedge of that war, and then maybe, the next day or the next weekend play what's happened on the other side, somewhere else on the planet kind of thing. I really could, I kind of regret that I'd, gone so whole hog into 28 mil.
I miss when it was 1/72. Those, now the sheets just get bigger and bigger. Now 28, it went from 25 millimeter to 28 millimeter, and now a lot of them are 32 millimeter. Like,
big ones like Marvel shit's like 34s now or some shit. 36.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? The old there was a skirmish game called like Interrogator or something where they're using, I can't remember if it was 32 or 35 millimeter. I've seen some up to 54 millimeter. And
you know what? That Western Rules game that I reviewed back in April was literally meant for use with cowboys and Indians, sort of army men. Welcome to the show, nerds.
Nerd, what's up, bro?
You can still get 172 like Aerofix, which is what my old man and I used. It was like $1.50 a box of like 25. I had, the Marines landing on Iwo Jima. I had Robin Hood. I had just crap tons. You could just, throw a couple of coats on, throw them back in the box. You're good to go.
Well, there's a whole industry of toy soldiers like Conte. Their fucking toy soldiers are like amazing, man. They're a little pricey, but man, they look fantastic.
Man, when I was a kid, I used to buy those little minis, and we would just, we had the Germans, we had the Americans, I had the Italians, and all my friends like, oh, you got Italians? Where the hell are those?
You know what my favorite set was, though? It was kind of weird. My dad was kind of bummed when I wanted to get it because he wanted me to get something else. Money was tight. Was the Apollo moon landing set. I'm like, are you kidding me? Hell yeah. Welcome, nerds. How you doing today?
And doing good. Finally got off work and happy to see someone was on here streaming, so that I can join in.
You're welcome anytime.
What is it? Is it called Drop Zone?
Oh yeah, that was a really tempting looking game. And you know me, I'll go on eBay and I'll buy stuff 10, 20 years after the fact. The game was good then, it's gonna be good now. Like, give you an example. I have Grand Theft Auto. I've got Grand Theft Auto like 2, 3, something like that. I bought them.
Vice City's the best.
I got Vice City as well. I got them, like years and years after they were, the biggest game of the year kind of thing, $50 a pop. I got them for like $5. You know what? I guarantee if I put it in my PlayStation right now, because I still have a PS2. I actually got 3 of them. And I played it. It would be just as good as it was back then. Just not everybody else going, yeah, this is the best game ever, blah, blah, blah. You know what? You grab an old game. If it was good then, it'll still be good now.
Well, you know what, though? There were sometimes I do that, but I look at the old SSI games because you can get them on Steam for like $10. I'm like, do I really want to go through all of that? That was one. But but talking about this, I go on Steam.
Wait, SSI or SPI?
SSI, the old SSI computer games.
Oh no, SSI, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, do you remember the old computer games for D&D?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you can get them for like whenever they have the sale. You can get them for like $6 to $8 for like 10 of them. The other one is that I bought Alien Isolation for 99 cents, which I haven't played all the way through yet. I wait until the prices are like, I think I bought The Witcher, the whole thing for like $15. So Witcher 1, 2, and 3 and all the expansions. And I said, oh, that's worth it. But now some of these games, they refuse to go down in price. And I was like, oh, come on. I bought relatively a newer one, but like Shadows of Mordor. What was the other one? Jedi Fallen Order. Those were all something like 75% off or something for $10. Man, okay, fine. I waste like 50 hours of my time. I'm good with that. I don't know if you saw the stuff that's going on with Creative Assembly and Warhammer. Man, they're laying people off left and right now, and they refuse to improve their game. And instead of doing like, I was a big fan of Shogun Total War. I love those big battles. I loved Rome 1. I loved Medieval 2. They're just, but they haven't innovated. They stopped. And that's the problem that I have with a lot of them. Instead of trying to make the games better, they're just like, oh, well, we'll just rehash the same thing over and over. And I just haven't had that much fun with it. XCOM 2, I love. But that's what I want.
I don't have the time. I don't have the time for video games. I mean, I got this.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So this is a time suck as it is. Damn, Bo, get on the table. Ooh, raise the roof.
You know what?
Shake it, baby. Shake it.
I just went through my tablet last night, deleting a bunch of stuff, and the first thing to go were a couple of app games I was playing, and I hadn't played them in like 2 years. I'm like, what the heck? I don't want to do that. I want to do what I'm doing right freaking now. If I can't actually be playing, at least I can be preparing for a really good game. Real quick, Cal, I was like, I think like in diapers, a year old roughly when the moon landing was on TV, and I'm so glad I can still actually remember that. My parents were just like, it was like the biggest thing ever. Mind you, I'd only been a year old, so not a lot to compare it to, but I could just tell that it was a big freaking deal. What do you got there?
So Shadow, here you go. It's Lemmy as a German tank commander.
Awesome. That's one of the things I dig about the 3D printers is the ability to, if you can muster the skills to customize your minis, uh, putting your face or somebody you admire's face on a mini. That just, to me, that just, I would get minis of all you guys. Who is it? I think it's
It'll be creaky knees
Elfate.
and nerds nerd. That's what we would have. It would be called the creaky knees and a nerds nerd. That's what our group would be. Everything.
Actually,
hurts,
I want to
something-
bring something up after this, but real quick, Elfbait actually made a miniature of me and Jackie, or at least he said he did, for his old west town that he's building, and he's having us Shadow and Sun morticians.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I can see
that's
that.
awesome.
so one of these days, I'm gonna do something like that with you guys. Find a way to have my little my little bow miniature next to my little Brian miniature and Omen, and
I'm gonna be the brothel owner. You guys better make me the brothel owner, okay?
yeah, I can see that. Welcome to the show, Ironcaster. Long time no see, man.
The
Hey,
thing
Grim,
is
welcome to the show. I was just talking to Grim on the phone like an hour ago. He had a rough day today.
I'm sorry. Everything okay?
Oh no, he's just regular work day. It's not a health issue or anything, thank God, because I'm getting kind of tired of you schmoes ended up in the hospital.
No
You don't have
shit.
any health issues, right, nerds? You're good, right?
Yeah. My bill of health is squeaky clean to my knowledge.
Very
All right.
Very good.
Just making sure
I'm hoping I get like 20, 30 more years before I start having the same issues you all seem to.
What-
Hell yeah, dude.
What are you like,
Tell you
12
what.
then?
I know.
I do all right, except for that whole A1C thing, and that's probably from 3 Cokes a day.
Are you doing good with your no sugar?
Yeah, I've been cutting way down, not just on the sugar, but also on the carbs. I had very little white flour in the last month.
That I'm finding that harder
I
than the
haven't-
sugar. Literally, that's
Yeah,
like,
no, that is harder than sugar.
so
I
It's
love
fucking
bread
in
and-
everything, guys. In America, especially in America, everything has sugar and salt. Everything.
So for me, and I'll be honest about this, other than the what I want to call my horse hoof concoction, I generally don't have too much sugar except whatever they have at work. But no, there's a lot of it just comes down to, where a lot of us are just too sedentary. That's one issue.
Yeah.
I need to just go walk more. I went to the flea market to go watch the solar eclipse, and I looked down and I had 10,000 steps, and I was like, wait a minute, see, it's before noon. And there's no good excuse for not going out. I mean, I try going swimming every day, or at least every other day. I'm still sore from doing some rolling deck squats, but that's what you really feel. Is a few days later, you're like, I feel so old, especially whenever you're going in and digging out trees. But and I hate saying this, I got Brian there. I don't have to do any miniatures. I just go over to his house and play.
Right.
All he has to do is invite me, and I'm like, yeah, I can. You give me a few days' notice, I'll be right over there, man.
Yeah, dude. We need to do some more. Now that I'm back on the mend.
Yeah. I mean, we can do that. I still like to do the Star Wars Rebellion. We'll have to try that if you're interested.
Yeah,
if you're not, that's cool.
I played it once before, but
Yeah.
it was a while. It was like when it first came out, and I haven't, played it since.
It's like a 3 to 4 hour game. Is the problem?
It's a long game.
Yeah,
It's a long game.
So
What
there's
game? I'm
that.
sorry, I missed that.
Give me 1 second.
Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, okay.
It's got like a giant, almost like Risk. It's that level of
No,
like.
I remember actually looking at it a while ago, and
I mean, it's a big box, and it's got the miniatures like you were talking about. I think it's got like 110 miniatures in here or something. 150. So I mean, if you look real closely, you can. Let's see.
that's not too bad. I mean, that's a
It's
you
got
can-
the.
got a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, so it's cool looking. It's got tons of that. It's an asymmetrical war game, which is what I enjoy. And you know, that's why I like the. I mean, they're a pain to paint, but man, 6mm. I wish we just had more ships. I would like to do big Starfleet battles. Speaking of the game, which I know that we use just plastic, the cardboard counters, was the old Renegade Legion Leviathan. With the Leviathan, where you actually get the big warships and you put them on the grid and you move them around, and they were fun to create.
The FASA games,
Yeah.
I have something from that line. I think I've also got Noble Armada, but I was talking to James, DM James, just this afternoon. I can't find a Starship game that I really like that isn't either too simple or too complicated.
Listen, all aircraft type games blow because they're not 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
Can't play in a 3-dimensional space on a flat board.
It's funny you mentioned that. I've got something here. It's just a telescoping rod. A buddy of mine and I, we were actually working on a game like that used telescoping rods to mount the ships on, so that depending on which position you were in would determine your altitude.
Yeah.
But it was like, that's not enough. I mean, unless you make each segment very far apart from one another, it's just not going to have that feel.
And that's another thing.
If you don't have an active Z-axis, like when ships, in outer space, when they were going to dogfight, right, you could be able to come right up through a Z-axis, and you can't do that on a game board. It just, you can't do it. It's not possible.
So years ago, and we're talking the 1970s. I don't even know what game it was. My father had one that had like 3 boards.
Yeah, you told me about that.
It was like the bottom board would be the land, and the other one was the air. Now, Millie, this is helicopter stuff. I don't know what he did, but it actually had where, when you assembled it, the top board was clear. And
Right.
I can see where you could do that if you wanted to do something in space, where you could say, okay, we're going to do 3 boards up here, which is fine. Where you're going to be in that relative space. But I've always been okay with doing some of the abstract stuff because we're talking tens of thousands. The problem is I think most people want to do this kind of stuff. In the meantime, I'm just like, look, this is why I want the giant capital ships, and I really don't care where the fighters are. The fighters can be above or below. They're close enough. It's like you're still within.
I just think the tabletop is not a good game platform for games like that. I think video games are the best.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Even naval combat, the naval distances that these things. I mean, it's like Harpoon. Remember, guys ever play Harpoon? Yeah,
no.
Dude. I mean, it's like you need, if you're going to play on a flat level. I mean, you need a massive board, or they're just chits, like small chits, because the ranges of weaponry is so immense.
Well, see, the problem is that people want to do true scale. And there was years ago that I remember them doing this, and they, I think it was 1 in 256 or something like that. Anyway, it was like, well, if you want to do an MLRS, and this is before the ATACMS, it was like you have to play in a parking lot for your,
It's true.
For a true scale. And
if you call in artillery fire from like a 12-inch gun on a battleship off the coast, you're talking grids. Like a map grid is going to be destroyed, not just like a small HE or some bullshit, but a fucking grid is going to go up.
Well, see, that's one of the reasons I didn't like BattleTech was the ranges were too small. So I would have been happy if every hex was 300 meters, because then it would have made more sense to me. It's like, oh, okay, the mechs would be far apart. It's like that's your range. But I mean. What is that one game that I play that I like a lot? Which, oddly enough, it's been Prescient, which is why I get kind of scared. Was Combat Mission, where they had
Combat Mission,
Black Sea. They had the one for Syria. I'm like, wait a minute, we got to, it was years in advance that they even brought that up. I was like, what the hell, 2010. They're like, oh, Ukraine versus the United States.
Like, why would America be in Syria? And you're like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, but so, but when you look at that and you zoom in for like true size, they're little itty bitty things, and you have to scroll across forever to see anything. And I think that's the problem with most games is I'm like, look, that's just one of the reasons I don't mind abstract if they're going to say it's abstract, but it still needs to mirror reality. This is why I don't like the true sight. Like, look, I like the abstract. Hey, can I see through this? Can I see through that? I'm okay with it. It's like, look, how much are we going to do with this?
It's like gaming like miniature gaming especially is constrained by the table,
yeah,
size of the table. So that's why, in a reasonable table that is, like most people can acquire. And that's why
That's
these
one of the
rules
things
are
I
so
liked about a Billion Suns is that you actually use multiple tables. Anybody looked into that one?
Yeah, but
I've heard
no
of the
one
name,
has
I've never
multiple
played it.
tables. No one has multiple tables. I play on Brian's, and I guess yours is what? What is it, 3x6 or something?
Yeah, that's about right.
I mean, we have to be realistic. Even if you have a large, table that my parents have, which is a 4x8, well, maybe 3.5x8. But when you start looking at it, look, my arms only reach so far. And then at a certain point, you're starting to get into the old World War II, where they used the looks like the thing that they use for shuffleboard to move the figures.
You know what? I could get into that. I could actually get into that. Where the troops are just big blocks.
Yes.
Colored blocks. I could actually get into a game like that.
Oh, well, that's what I meant. It's like for Epic. I don't need a 1-for-1 scale. What I need is this soldier represents a squad. This represents a platoon or something, and I'm okay with that.
How they kind of used to do a lot of games in the old days. 100 years ago type of thing.
Sure. You say 100 years ago. That was during the Avalon Hill. They were still doing that, and I would rather do that myself. Is, hey, look, these 5 characters represent a platoon or something like that, and I don't need it. It doesn't need to represent 1-for-1. I have to do this. I hate that. It's like, look, unless it's a really big item, like a battleship or something, where a large ship should be 1-to-1. But even for the old naval, it was what, 1 in 1,200 scale or something. But if you do a 1 in 1,200 scale, do you know how big an aircraft carrier is? It's about 1 foot. It's about 1 foot long. That's how big those things are. At a certain point, you're like, I have to do 1 in, what is it, 1 in 10,000 or something like that, or you have to make them so. Which, like I said, I don't mind having some of the 3-dimensional, like you said, that telescoping would be pretty cool. The problem is that they always break. They have to be.
They fall over in game.
They'd have to be car antennas. We had figured that in.
Magnetized to the game board or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And also we were playing and doing this back when metal spaceship minis were a thing.
Sure.
Hey, what are you working on, nerds? You're awful quiet.
Yeah, nerd, you're too quiet. Okay, it's nerds got the podium. Hit us, girl. What you got?
I'm just hanging out. Y'all talking. I don't need to interrupt you.
Shit.
Personally, I disagree. I like my minis at that 1/48 scale. I can accept the fact that they have the shooting range of like tossing a bowling ball. I can hand wave that.
Well, so this is what I was bringing up. I think nerd is I don't mind if they're 148 if they represent a squad. What I don't like is if they're 148 on a 1-to-1 and they have true scale. That's what I'm referring to.
1-to-1.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll be honest. If for 1 in 48, man, you can get some real detail in those minis, and they look beautiful on the board. But I'd much rather them say, "Hey, look, every figure represents a fire team or something like that." That's all I'm trying to say there. I think the problem again is everyone wants this 1-to-1 ratio instead of saying, "Hey, like the old war gamers used to do all abstract." Okay, guess what? We're not putting down 100,000 minis for the Battle of Gettysburg, but we're putting enough down that it looks cool.
Why not? Why not? We'll just get every Gettysburg player out there in a convention. Bring your stuff. We'll do like Games Workshop did when they'd have a full chapter on display. It's like everybody.
They just
you'll get
did
2mm.
Didn't last year they did Waterloo, like the fucking 1-1 ratio Waterloo somewhere in England?
Someone was telling me about something like that. Why Why not? And James, I don't think I'll be doing 2 mil because at that point you might as well just use chits because I mean a millimeter and a chit
Yeah.
are like the same thickness. You know what I mean?
Well, but I think
Painting
that's
little
the,
rice, painting little rice men made out of rice. I just no.
see, I think that's where nerds is right. Is you just have the really pretty looking miniature, but it's meant to be abstract. And I think that too many war games are now not treating it as if it's abstract. I'm like, look, I don't need anything perfect. I'm okay with short, long, and medium ranges for most games, including the RPGs where everyone wants to, I have to do this and do the 5-foot grid. And it's, you know what? I just want to move along. You're close enough. Yes, that works.
Owen's a true gamer. He's like, let's just game. Let's get to the
Exactly.
gaming.
Well, when I come over
And-
there,
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing
And the
wrong with that at
problem
all.
is,
I
the
disagree.
problem like with all of us, like Bo, me, Nerd, and a Shadow, we're like hobbyists.
And what you're thinking. This is funny. I'm really bemused here because this is the argument that was at the foundation of Dungeons and Dragons in 1975, before it was even published, when Arnis and Gygax got together and say, hey, with the guys that were playing, they're playing tabletop war games, and Arnis and Gygax say, well, we're just going to play one, and then the guys say, oh, you mean one unit? No, one guy. You're going to play one guy. You're going to play one guy. You're going to play one guy, and we're going to get together and play a game. And so we're having this argument all over again 40 years later. I think it's great.
No, I mean,
Well,
when
I
I
don't know that it's
first,
an argument, but yeah.
well,
It is an argument.
you have to look at
It's
the,
by definition.
well, like I said,
And again, the whole reason that miniatures are getting bigger in the games is because, okay, like a 32 or a 20 heroic miniature is made for a painter.
Yeah.
They're made for painters. So you got games that are made for painters but played with by gamers.
well, I'm going to bring this up because some of them are like, I have a few of the Privateer Press Orcs and the Circle of Orboros minis. I say a few. I have like a few hundred miniatures, which I have not painted. So I mean, and as I get older, I realize, man, that's a lot of effort. And then you get kind of freakish about having everyone there. And hey, do I have to take it over here? And how much am I lugging? And I'll be honest, I prefer metal minis just because they feel satisfying when you pick them up. But and from the gamer side of me, I am like Mage's Musings, Sean. Hey, we'll use the Order of the Stick minis. We're gonna put them on we're gonna print them out. We're gonna fold them up in paper. Glue the bottom or tape the bottom, and like, let's go. And then if someone crushes them, it's like, okay, we'll just reprint that one. The other one I do like, which is I think kind of cool, especially from a gaming standpoint, are those skinny minis that they have. I like those.
Those are great.
And
Show like the front and the back.
Yeah,
Like,
yes,
that's
exactly.
pretty cool.
And
But they're
all they
expensive.
do-
Okay, Graham, I could do 2 mil Age of Sail. Okay, I'll have to.
Yeah.
admit.
Well, that's what we're talking about. 2 millimeters stuff that you actually want to do for the sails for ships. It's just the scale needs to represent something that's reasonable. And if you're playing the Gulf of Leyte or whatever, come on, you want to play on a big board. At a certain point, it's like, look, you need a dojo-sized room with everything painted on the ground, and then we all walk around and move stuff along with a sand table. It's like you're talking about is, there's a certain level of abstraction that has to occur. And I'm not disagreeing. I think that the large miniatures are fantastic. The problem is I think that at that point, they're more of an art than to play with, because you know what? If I drop one of those that you spent hours and hours on, I feel really
Welcome
guilty.
to the show, HD.
If I drop
You came to that place.
if I drop a cheap plastic one on the ground, and that you spent 20 minutes painting, no one cares. It's the difference between those. So yeah,
Metal is king.
Bo just felt a casualty this week.
Yeah, fell under the
I know.
table, and I went to take the plug out of the bottom of my air compressor, and the air compressor fell right on her. And I heard the crunch, and then, luckily she's plastic, so that's okay. We can rebuild her. But if it would have been metal or resin, I wouldn't be able to glue it back together. It would be, yeah.
Well, this is the
Plastic
thing.
can glue back together.
Is I really do think with the 3D printing, and by my understanding, Nerd, you actually have models for stuff like that. Especially for big things, I don't. It depends on how much of a painter you are. I am happy if it's just.
He's fantastic.
If it's just close enough, I'm good. I don't need anything. Great. But the STL files that are out there, and you can buy so many of them. You can print as many as you need. I don't know about you guys, but when I used to have miniatures as a broke child, it was I'll pick this army, and we'll just say these Italian soldiers are orcs, and then these Americans are this, and then we have a couple of metal over here. I mean, that's all we did. And
as a kid, that'll fly. When you get older, you're like more refined. You gotta have the real shit.
Well,
you gotta have the real shit.
Well, you got to have it, but then you're like, well, I can't play with that because I don't have that mini, and that's
right. That's right. Your motor pool is you want a King Tiger, but guess what? You don't have one. So sorry, you got to come up with something else.
You know what though is at that point is I'm just quite happy of again. Let's print it out. Let's print it out and just it can be 2D. Okay, that's good. It's one of these things that how much fun. But the other problem I think is a lot of games are also trying to not, because terrain's not perfect, but they don't want to use like the old rules from the Warhammer stuff where, hey, this is a hedge, this will block. Well, I can see your character over there, so I can fire just fine. Like, no, there used to be a time like how we play over with the pygmies. Oh, you're within 2 inches, you can't see them. That kind of thing.
Miniature games can't be a simulation. It's got to be a representation.
Role-playing games need to be a simulation.
Nothing needs to be a simulation. If it's a simulation, then you should be playing on a computer. You should be playing on a computer. Or what you should be doing is you should be going to your local paintball and running out there as an old fart trying to pull a muscle.
I'm on the mats. I'm on the mats 3 or 4 days a week, and I'm still hanging with the kids.
You said Holy Diver's on here, right? Diver, Bo's a kickboxer.
Holy Diver is in the studio.
Oh, there he is, right there. Yeah,
no, Diver and I have friends in common, IRL.
Yeah, Sepp Puha, right?
Yeah, I know Sepp and Fecky.
All right, yeah.
I used to roll with them all the time. When they were training at the Phoenix gym and the Muay Thai Institute, Sugar House.
Okay,
hey,
cool.
we just made another connection, man.
No, we've been talking for a while. This is not super new, but yeah, one of these days I'm going to get up to the Fight City gym and I'll bring my gi.
Smack him around a little bit.
He goes to Sepp has his own place. It's on West Temple. It's Institute of Mixed Martial Arts.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't miss it. And how are you, Mr. Weird World War II? You were in the hospital?
I was, dude. I developed rhabdo. I was working out too hard and my blood got toxic. Almost fucking killed my kidneys and my liver, but I'm on the good now, in the green.
Rhabdo is potentially life-threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so when I started pissing brown, like almost black, I'm like, I gotta go to the hospital. Shit.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, I hope you get better.
Yeah, my kidney, whatever it was like 59,000 plus.
His creatinine clearance was too high, which means that your kidneys are a filter, right?
Yeah.
So his kidneys weren't filtering. It's called poor kidney perfusion. And he said that his liver enzymes were also elevated as AST and ALT.
Like 500s or some shit.
So that's.
But now my kidneys are in the green and my liver's at 80, but it's trending down. So.
Yeah.
Well,
is that good or bad if it's
good?
Down? Okay, just want to make sure, because I'm like, whenever I hear, hey, I'm going down, you're thinking, oh man.
Those chemical byproducts, when they're going down, that means that they're going down in his blood.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be in his blood. They should be, out in the urinal or out in the toilet.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good to hear it. How's everybody's October going? I can't get enough of your Ravenloft videos. I gotta watch the
Hey,
one with
thanks.
the Frankenstein one there.
Oh, that's my
Yeah.
favorite so far. I love that one. I'm working on a werewolf one just to keep it all Halloweenish. Want to hit all the classic monsters. I've got one that's for like a mummy and a rakshasa, which isn't really all that Halloween, but
Well, a tiger person, yeah, a monster with a tiger face, yeah, that's pretty Halloween.
Well, with the backwards bending, but that's an Indian monster, from
Yeah.
India.
Got to avoid your cultural appropriation there.
Bullshit.
I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't have to
The
avoid the damn thing.
only time that you ever don't culturally appropriate is when it's crap. You always
Dude,
culturally appropriate.
The
something
first
worth
time I ever
appropriating.
saw a Rakshasa was Kolchak, the Night Stalker, had an
Yes,
episode
yeah.
with a Rakshasa in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the
theory.
Kolchak, where have I heard that name before? Is that a
The
cartoon?
Night Stalker. That was an
The
old
Night
TV
Stalker.
show.
one season with the guy that was
Oh,
it was he
sure,
was
man.
he was a
you're
journalist.
missing out, dude.
Yeah, he was a journalist. They used to have it on Sci-Fi. My father was talk about that, and they brought it back.
The other
Yep.
video Shadow did was the ideal party for Dungeons and Dragons, and I chimed in on that one, and I said the two non-negotiable classes that two people always have to be is you have to have a cleric and a thief, because they're going to level up first before any of the other classes. I think clerics level up at 1250, or no, the cleric levels up at 1500. The thief is the one that levels up at 1250.
So I'm going to bring this up because I challenged Shadow on this, which was you can't pick an ideal if you have these super high stats because that excuse it. So what I did is I put on his Discord, I rolled up 8 characters and I said, now make your ideal party with a basic 3d6. Rolled straight down. I said, now pick your best party from these stats. And I don't know if he's looked at I did it myself.
So what was the highest number that you got on 3d6? Was it like 10s across the board with everybody, because that is one problem that I have with the 3d6. I would usually is like, okay, if you want to play a paladin, it's a non-negotiable that you have to have a 17 in your charisma score, correct?
So this is what I'm going to bring up. Now I haven't sent him off the rest of them, but the point is that paladins are super rare. So no, you're not going to get most parties. You're not going to get a paladin if you're going to do a basic 3d6. But the real point is you can it's always easy to pick the best thing. It's just like in real life. If you go, well, if the military had completely unlimited money, then we could outfit the soldiers completely like this. And that's not realistic. What you have to do is say, okay, on each of the methods, how would you do it? So I rolled up. So I did the 3d6 straight down. Then I did 4d6. You can move them around, which I haven't shown Shadow for that. Then I did where you do 3d6 rolled 12 times, take the top 6. Then you have the 3d6 rolled 6 times for each stat, take the highest for each stat. And I did that for 8 characters. And one of them, the final one I got, is he got it just enough high of a stat to get a monk. But other than that, the rest of them didn't. I actually got a couple of paladins actually in some of the other ones. But I was trying to make sure that it looked reasonable. But it's interesting because all of a sudden your party starts changing dramatically when you start saying, okay, I only have these stats up to this level. What's my ideal party for 8 characters based off of these stats?
And for me, it was always the character cards that came in the starter boxes because they already gave you the stats that you needed for the party. So that you would have a thief with a dexterity of at least 15, and you would have a cleric with a wisdom of 15. And the whole thing with the cleric being just wisdom 15, he can cast 3 times a day, which is huge at level 1.
It is, but see, that's the point. Is when you start getting all those bonuses, it removes a lot of the hard decisions you have to make. That's what I was trying to bring out was, when we're talking about ideal party, we're all talking about ideal stats. It's like, well, At that point, why don't you just give me all 18s? Or why don't we just do a point buy system?
You don't need to have all 18s, but I think that you need to at least have you got to roll the requirement for like a wizard has to have at least a wizard at intelligence 10 is like, I think you have to have what's the minimum, isn't it?
9.
It's
But that's
9.
it. The agreement was is if they had stats too low to pick any character class, then that would get re-rolled. But that was the only one. Yeah, but a 9. Well, it's interesting because everyone looks at stuff as if you're going to get
12.
Nice, James.
Well,
I'm a fighter with the strength of 9, and my name's Stephen My name is Stephen Hawking, and I am a Rudy-pooed candy
but that motherfucker's mental fortitude can like manifest in like fucking armies of whatever.
Well, see, here's the
He was
mentality
psionic. He must have been psionic.
yes, psionic dumb. This is the mind blank. No, but the whole point of that was, can you still make your character with 9th level? Like I've been playing the OSE stuff with Ye Olde Geek on the weekends, and we just roll 3d6. We just roll 3d6 straight, and it's amazing on how.
Do that, James. Don't do that.
I know. I don't know what's going on, but you know what's interesting is when you do it, we have actually been surviving a lot because we start talking our way through things. We don't pick a fight. One of them, we decided to get, there were some lizard men and some orcs in the room. And we're like, well, get the lizard men to talk to to go fight the orcs. And that's what we did, is we weren't trying to fight directly with them. And I think that's the problem when people look at it. It's like, well, I'm going to be badass. And to be fair, if you actually read the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide, it says you're supposed to have like 2 15s. I will admit that. But I just wanted to see in what people would do, because when you have limitations, one is you get more creative. You get more creative when there are limitations. Okay, go ahead.
Years ago, the last campaign I ever ran, I said, are you guys sure? I mean, you can see that these hobgoblins are wearing plate mail, and there's 6 of them, and so and they just like, no, we can take them, and they all started going down. They barely survived the encounter. This is a level 2 encounter. They barely survived it, and these guys did have some stats that were maxed up to like 17 for their particular what do you call it, classes.
Yeah, but I'm saying what I found interesting is so I did my ideal party. Let's see, I'll bring it up here. So the basic was the highest stat I had in them was 15, but most of them varied from anywhere from 4 to the highest was 15. That's not, or 16. There is a 16 for intelligence, or no, the first strength. But it's interesting because when you do, as I've been reading through the rules, which I never followed as a child, one is if your character's mature, guess what? They get +1 charisma, they get +1 con, and they get +1 strength automatically. And then if you're middle-aged, you get +1 wisdom, but all your other stats should remain the same. So there are ways of moving up. The other thing is, and I didn't realize this when I was playing as a kid, if you were multi-class, you take the oldest age of that character. So like if you're going to play a dwarven cleric, guess what? You automatically start at old age.
It's funny you mentioned that. I mentioned the dwarven cleric. You get a dwarven cleric in there, and then he can wear plate mail, which makes him really hard to hit, which means he's kind of another tank, especially with their racial bonus that they always get +2 their constitution score, which means you might have a level 1 cleric that's sporting 10 hit points with an AC of 3 out the door.
No, I don't just, well, you can have AC 2 if he has a shield. And so
I think plate mail goes down to a 4, and then when the shield you get a 3.
No, it's 3 for plate mail and then +1 for the shield.
Is it +1 for the shield?
Yeah.
AD&D,
yeah, AD&D. I mean, when we're playing the BX version, which plate is pretty cheap. It's pretty easy to get plate, but
it's ridiculously cheap. I was like, what? That's so much different than AD&D. I mean, it makes a huge
nerd. What do you play in your Pathfinder? What class?
I'm pretty much perma GM. The last time I played, I was a Slayer. That was like 2 years ago.
Oh, that sucks.
So I mean, let's see what just so Shadow doesn't do this. Let's see. This is what I had for my ideal party with these crappy stats: 2 magic users, 2 clerics, 2 fighters, and a thief, magic user thief. Because magic user thief for an elf is just, you have to have the elf in there anyway, so you might as well go for it. So that's what I did for one of them. The rest of them is the dwarven fighter. There's, and then a halfling stout thief. Because sometimes
I don't think so, James.
Oh, for what? Oh, but yeah, I mean, those are the. But it's interesting looking at that. Now, would I have players start off with that? No, I hate that one, to be honest. I actually like the 2d6. I'm sorry, the 3d6. Roll 12 times and pick the highest. And I was actually able to, on that one, to get 2 paladins, a ranger, a thief illusionist, a cleric, a ranger, a magic user, and a cleric. So I was like, okay, that's a pretty good party.
I use build points. You have so many points to build your shit, and just let them do whatever.
Well, you know what though, is part of the fun of the old D&D was just the randomness. That said, I was amazed that I got 2 paladins off of that. And because
you roll 6 times for each stat on 3d6, you're bound to get something. For me, it was always just told, okay, just roll 4d6 and we'll see what you get.
No, this one is 3d6 twice for it, and then you pick the highest 6. So I did pretty well on that one. And then the other one was, well, you know what? No, I'm sorry, that wasn't. That was the 46. That was the 46 one. And then the one.
Yeah, I can see already how with 3d6 you can run the basic 4 food groups, no problem. Yeah. You add the 4d6, drop the lowest. You're bringing in the paladins, the rangers, the druids, maybe even a monk, things like that. And I think for like if it was your first time, 3d6, absolutely. Go through the hard stuff. Maybe you get lucky and you can run a multi-class something, so you can have at least a little bit more to do, as opposed to the cookie cutter fighter, cleric, magic user, thief.
So the multi-classed, what do you call it? The elf fighter wizard wasn't. So when you're a multi-class in AD&D, don't you have to level up both to 2,000 and 2,500 before you can gain a level?
No. You get the levels individually. So you
divided the hit points in half.
Yeah. So once you get 4,000, your fighter goes up 1 level, and then when you get 5,000, then the magic user goes up. We're total experience, because you actually split the experience in half. But that's the way it works, which really means that this is what I thought was interesting.
And the BS part about that is that they make you divide the hit points in half. It's like,
you know what?
If you're lucky enough to even survive that, because what is that? That's you're by the time everybody's like level 4, you're going to be sitting there at level 2, and I mean, like one orc is going to come out of the woodwork, give you a backbreaker, and mess up all your days.
But
you got to admit though, the elves' ability to wear like plate mail and cast a fireball is pretty damn. I would do it. I would do it every freaking time.
But hold it. Here's the problem, like he's talking about, is you have to get up to that level. Now that said is when you're doing the 2 times, and this is what really comes into it is every experience is double effectively. So by the time that you're up to 5,000, they might be 3rd. Maybe the thief is 4th level. They're the only one that's 4th level. The other part is your Constitution bonus. You get that full Constitution bonus as the fighter. They don't split it. So you do get that. So when
an elf with a 16 con or a 14 con could have what?
Well, for 14 con they could have up to.
No, I meant an 18 con, which is not likely, or because I think they can only have a 17. So you get 3 and 2. That's 5 extra hit points. So you could be looking at 19 hit points. Divided by 2, so almost 10 hit points. That's not too shabby, if you roll max, mind you.
Yeah. So you get 10.
Shadow.
Yeah.
You doing any hobbying, dude?
I'm taking a smoke break, man.
So I mean, you get that, and we'll see. I have to drop off because my son will call me. But I actually like the 3d6 twice.
Take care, Minnie.
But the one that I got the best on was where you roll straight 3d6 6 times, and I got a fighter thief dwarf, a ranger, a magic user, a fighter magic user cleric for half elf only. And I'm not trying to use Unearthed Arcana. Unearthed Arcana skews so much in there. But then the fighter magic user thief was a good one as well. And then you get a fighter, a cleric, and a monk, because the monk gets a lot of the thief skills anyway. So, you can really, those. Now, again, it depends on what levels you're looking at. The problem is
He does that.
He
Hey,
goes back, he
nerd, real
pops
quick.
smoke.
Nerd, is there any kind of is there anything that helps 3D printing stuff get harder? Is there like a spray or anything? Because I've noticed I've been doing some printing of mini. They're brittle. Is there any way to not make them brittle?
The harder they are, the brittler they are. However, I can tell you it's because you're using a water washable resin. Those are the most convenient. They give you the least details. They're also the most brittle. I avoid them like the plague, personally.
Okay. All right.
All right.
No bueno. All right.
Gonna have to chip in and get Brian some real resin. Is that what we're hearing?
I got my respirator, so I can do real resin now.
Nice. Yeah, get some ABS like is what you want. Whether it's Elegoo, Sunlu, whichever brand, ABS like resin is much more durable. It's even flexible. Like you can bend some of it like 90 degrees without it snapping, but it still gives really good quality details.
Yeah, because you can't bend anything in this shit. Yeah, this water soluble stuff, you cannot bend anything.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories of dropping nice models off the table onto a carpeted floor only to have it shatter in a million pieces.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
I'm not a fan of that.
That's what do you call it? That's second grade right there. I actually had a model that failed me so bad I threw it and shattered it against the wall. Just like, you're done. You're freaking done.
Okay, here's a question for all you guys. You're all hobbyists. What was the worst fucking model you ever put together?
Oh, I was just talking about these, what do you call it? Household Guard for Conquest, Last Argument of Kings. Getting the guys to wield their halberds two-handed and getting the parts to line up. I had a lot of trouble with this kit. And in my one of my Holy Diver hangouts, I painted some of these guys, and I have 3 of them done. I just come off of writing all those Halloween specials for the channel and everything, and I talked about them on Hangout. Like, I screwed up 4 of them, and I already have to go. I mean, you're not going to notice it, but I know, and now you know because I told you, and now the internet knows, and now my autism.
Everyone knows your secret is out,
and
now everybody knows. So, yeah, they were a very hard kit, and if you're new, I would avoid those like the plague. And then what else is there? God, there was one more I put together this year that really sucked. Donkey Kong Dong. I think I want to say it was some of the Orc Squig Hog boys I had a little bit of trouble with. But don't quote me on that just yet. It'll come to me. It'll probably come to me after the stream.
One of mine was I had just gotten Shadows of Brimstone, and I got some Kickstarter exclusive back when they were making things out of resin. And I was working on this cowgirl model, and I'm holding her in my hands, right? And she starts melting in my hand from the body temperature.
What?
I'm not even joking. I was just like, what? You're kidding me. And I'd paid like good money on eBay because it was a Kickstarter exclusive set that I didn't get. And, $20 for like 8 miniatures. It was, it wasn't bad, but, and her legs were like toothpick thin to begin with. And they've since fixed most of that with just going to plastic. But that was a while ago.
With my friend's been printing up a lot of stuff and everything, and he's about to launch his website and everything. And for some of the stuff that we're doing online with everything, and because we're actually all going to be shelving 40K because the game is just so wretchedly awful. But what was it? He
Any
was he
older
just
systems? Have you tried any older editions, man?
Oh no, we're going right to 30K. Me and him played a game of that. I got to get a battle report, the report that I recorded out of it, and it just traded way better. But it was just like the whole like I have special rules for my army, but the fact that you can play stratagems, like when I play a stratagem to countermand my special rules to keep my shit from working, so your Marines and your shit will always work and never stink, kind of thing, was getting to me in my last game. And I play some really good games against my friend Bubbles. It's just that I can't seem to ever conquer him at all. Or it's like I get erectile dysfunction on my dice. I got ED, and I'm like, I have to be like, I swear to God, that's never happened to me before when I'm rolling. But he's printed out a swamp set, and it's got some gigantic centerpieces. And I was said, so do they have sockets for where they connect, where the pieces connect to one another? And he says, no, there's flat spots for where the glue's going to go. And I said, hey, I bet you in 3 years, they'll probably have a way of printing in plastic. Have a good day, Bo, from Bo Paints.
Yeah,
Look at Bo.
And then I bet you they'll start including a way to print these models, these pieces of terrain, where you'll have sockets to connect them together.
got that now, don't they, nerd? Can't you cut them up in a certain way in the box and have like pegs and stuff?
Yeah, there's actually a couple common systems that people use for their own models so that they can even interconnect with each other.
Take care, Bo. I'll see you on Discord.
See you, Bo.
Tomorrow's Friday. Hey, you gonna be playing tomorrow night, Brian?
Yes. I'll be here.
Awesome.
So do you 3D print a lot of stuff, nerd?
Yeah, so I do some 3D like digital kid bashes. I design Beard War tanks and upload those files for people to download, and then I do a lot of printing myself.
Okay, good deal.
Go to Colts and check out her page on Colts.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make you guys mods so you can start putting in links and stuff. Don't let me forget to figure out how to do that.
I was trying to figure out how to stream to Rumble last week, and I still can't get it to go and do right.
Yeah, it's not easy, but if you're mirrored there, all your regular videos will go right over there. It just takes a couple of days for everything to sync up.
I'm not mirrored yet because I'm still trying to go through and delete really old videos, like my older ones that just.
Oh, it won't do all your oldest videos. I've got 3 years, like almost 1,000 videos, and it stopped at a certain point. It just wouldn't do it. I bet that's.
Oh well, no. There's like.
Here we go, Jim. Everybody, welcome to the show. Our brother from down under.
Oh, an Australian.
You got me motivated to do some more romaines. So
hey, you know what? That's what this is all about. I don't care what you guys do. Just make sure you got something in your hand. It's a paintbrush, an exacto knife, a model or super glue. Everything else I don't want to hear about.
Anyway, so back to worst kits. So mine isn't necessarily a gaming kit. It's a company. The company is Lindbergh. I don't know if you guys have ever built a Lindbergh.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've got the pirate set that Walmart just put out last year or the year before for Christmas. It blew me away. I walked in with my boy to Walmart.
They're all ass.
And there was this palette of old model kits, new, but like old stuff, like the old pirate, the glow in the dark pirates. And I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen these since I was, younger than my boy. We grabbed one, went back the next week, and almost everything was just completely gone in a week. We spent I kid you not, my boy and I spent like a half hour just talking to complete strangers as they'd walk by, and their head, these old guys, their heads would turn as they're looking at the palette of model kits, remembering bygone days. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing Walmart's ever done. And then never again.
Walmart did something great.
We had to actually make a video. Walmart finally did something great. And I kid you not, the next week it was all gone. I mean, and there must have been like 100 kits on the pallet, like the Mach 5 and, old Chevys and tanks and just the weirdest eclectic, just mishmash of all the kind of cool sets you could possibly want, with little cubbies for model glue and things like that. And we were just like blown away. I mean, we've got a Hobby Lobby and a Dollar Tree right next to our Walmart, so it's we can get those fixes, so to speak, if we want them. But it was just like, this was just like awesome, and we never even put the kit together. It's still sitting up there on the shelf somewhere. But I love those famous monsters and the pirates and all that from the.
I remember seeing a lot of those ads on old comic books like Sergeant Rock and shit like that. Yeah.
But
I got a question for the toy soldier experts. Do you guys know where in either 172 or 1 to 32 or whatever, I can find an Alamo playset?
Oh, dude. Try Conte. We were just talking about them earlier. I think Toy Soldier Company. I think that's something. I think that's what they
Okay.
They do I mean, it's like there's a whole subculture of toy soldiers, and then there's some companies that do like anything, like pirates from this age to this age, like ancient Oriental pirates.
I used to have like a pretty big 172 collection, but because they're so cheap, you just buy them without even thinking about them, and then you end up with a ridiculous pile. So I kind of sold the pile, but I recently got some 132 World War II. I got some Germans and some Japanese Army and some Americans, and just to paint, just for the fun of painting them. But
they're great. There's some great molds out there for toy soldiers.
Yeah, these ones were Tamiya, and they were like $5 a box or something like that. They were pretty decent, but I wouldn't mind finding an Alamo playset that I could actually wargame with. That would be nice.
What's up, Hungar?
God, I want to say, me being a Texan, I've played the Alamo out on the tabletop before, and it's a blast. But I'm trying to think, my buddies have the actual Alamo in 15 mil. And
I was gonna say that. I know they make a 15.
I can't remember who does it.
It doesn't have to be a perfect copy. In fact, if it's a simplified Hollywood version of it, that's even better. Because that's the level that I do. That's the level that I do historicals at. Like I'm gonna have like a wizard in my Gaul army.
Grim says Classic Toy Soldiers has all of those items.
Classic Toy Soldiers. That's the one I was thinking of.
Rightio. I'll check that out then. Sounds good.
Let me see here.
Sounds good.
Yeah, like back in my youth when I first got into historicals, it was like 176, Ertl, Romans and Gauls.
Here's a question for you. Here's a question for you, Brian, a technique question. Because that PVC plastic is such a pain in the end to clean up, right? What's your, like, do you put them in hot water and then dry them off and then just slice the mold lines off? I've heard of people using like hot wire cutters. Like,
are you talking for like 32 millimeter scale, or are you talking?
Well, any PVC plastic, because it's always a nightmare, right? Like, and sometimes you buy like a board game just because it's got a lot of cheap, good minis in it, and then you set about painting them, and you're like, this plastic, it doesn't clean like this, like this Warlord plastic or like Games Workshop plastic does.
It's a soft plastic, bendable, right? That's what you're talking about? Yeah. That was one of the problems back in my youth when I was doing the historicals, is that, I painted up a fucking, Roman legion, and then when it dried, I bent them, and all that paint just splintered off.
Yeah.
Well, that side of things is easily fixed. You use army painted dip. It's like a hard varnish. Yeah.
I didn't know that when I was like, 10 or 12.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, you can make them as tough as nails that way. Like they'll stand up to anything.
Yeah. But when you're talking about mold lines, man, I never saw an exacto blade, dude. That's what I would use. If you really want it gone.
It's the most egregious ones, you know what I mean? Just the ones that stick out like a, dog's breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, you just scrape it down. I mean, you can also use files like those like micro metal files.
That's what I
Yeah.
use, guys. I've got a set of gun files that were my dad's, right? And mind you, these things are 30, 40 years old. They were, when he passed away, I found it in his things. I've been using this same half round file for like a decade.
Yeah.
Every time I'm at the table, it's right here.
You
I've got
do
the rest of
realize,
the set, but it's all
you do
I've
realize
needed.
that if I buy a gun file, I'll be put in an internment camp, right?
Yeah, you will. Don't worry, it won't. If you buy a file, it won't have a tip on it, and it'll be dull, so you'll be safe.
Yeah. It'll be like, does that book you're taking out of the library have a bump stock on it? I'm like, no. Well, go to jail anyway.
That's it, man. Shit.
Hey, nerds! This is a question I've been wondering about for a while.
Eh?
Have you heard anything about 3D printing with metal?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that it's. I mean, you're basically talking about a CNC machine at that point. I don't know how
What,
much
like
like
Music
hobby
Factory?
grade. Like, I mean, there's 3D printers for just about anything, but as far as like a hobbyist perspective, it's basically just the filament or resin. But I mean, broader spectrum, yeah. I mean, you've got 3D machines that you upload a digital file and it carves it out of wood, carves it out of metal, lays it in cement, even.
Mm-hmm. Hell, they do biological tissue. I've seen them 3D print ears and fingers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Can they
They're
do
3D
like
printing steaks pretty soon.
can they do like a nice cheddar so that like when you beat the other guy's army, you get to eat the piece?
I know that. I remember in an article
Yeah,
where
a
they
celebratory piece of cheddar.
Yeah.
I saw an article where the
that would be so
the U.S.
much
sent 2 giant 3D printers to the Ukraine, and Ukraine are 3D printing those assault boats, those drone boats. They can do like one in a day. They can do one of those assault boats.
Yeah, we'll never get them because they think the first thing we're going to print, is other things as opposed to all us nerds actually wanting to just print old freaking Grenadier miniatures or
I read an article. You guys, the cities have those gun buyback programs.
Sure.
Because guns are evil and you have to sell them to us if you're nice, whatever. But anyway, and they said no questions asked. We'll buy your guns, $50 a pop or whatever, right? So some guy 3D printed like fucking 150 ghost guns, like functional ghost guns, and he like got all this money for it.
I heard about that. Yeah, that's how you
I
game
didn't
the
hear that
system.
one, but I did hear about the guy who went to the hardware store, got some pipe, and some springs, and made a bunch of really, really cheap zip guns and made himself like $200 real quick. I'm like, genius. But that's even better. I mean, just, yeah, wow, whatever. Hey, what's up, Chris? How you doing? From the Hilt is here. Had a lot of cool people show up tonight. I'm going to do this every Thursday night, just to get stuff off my table, Brian. Because the only time other than the past couple of days, for months, I just wait until I'm in front of the camera doing somebody else's show, and then I'll fiddle around with what I'm doing. And I'm like, you know what? I bet there's a bunch of other people out there that just don't like doing it by themselves. It's just, just, I don't know, something about it. Just
when we were doing Mutt's painting challenge, we were almost doing it every day. I mean, I did like 100, I think total. I did like 110 minis in 30 fucking days.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I did the 30 that I did, but I did them all while I was on, in front of a freaking camera. And it just, I've got a lot of time during the day where I am alone and coming up to the studio to paint and stuff. Just, I don't know, man. Even if I've got a video playing, it's just so much more fun to have, folks to chat with. We used to do that back in the day, whether we were playing D&D or not. We'd sometimes, have like a paint party. All the gamers would show up and we'd share the paints and paint our miniatures. And then, maybe later on that night we would actually play, Dungeons and Dragons or whatever game we were playing, Traveler or what have you.
I haven't seen one of those since the days where I started in the hobby. There had been a couple of different parties where somebody was getting close to being done, and we would sit down, we'd make sure all the figures got done, and then we would start the basing, and then all the basing, because everybody would just share on the basing. So everybody would sit down with like 25 guys, and they'd base those 25 guys, and then we'd eat pizza while doing the basing. I haven't seen that in a long time. Then we play with the new army, and then usually if you lost with your newly painted army, you got rid of the curse of new toy syndrome.
That's kind of the
You've never heard
ongoing
of
thing. If whatever you just painted is going to get destroyed.
Exactly.
That's what I was saying. I'd never heard of that, but I remember the first time I played my Tyranid army. I totally surprised my buddy. He's like, we're gonna play. Okay, bring your army over. I got a new army. He's like, oh, okay, no problem. How many points? Blah blah blah. He gets there. I throw at just like 200 Tyranids at him. All a bunch of Termagants, and he just mopped the floor with him. It was just like, oh my god, what the hell? I thought I would at least get halfway across the battlefield, get into some hand-to-hand combat with these schmucks.
There's always that one unit of like cheap disposable grunts that just punches above their weight throughout the whole. Every game you play, you're like, these guys are doing miracles. What's going on?
It used to be like that. No, the guys who punch above their weight in the new 40K, it doesn't exist anymore. It's all a numbers racket, and it's really heartbreaking. There'd be that.
The whole thing with GW is like I just can't keep track of all the changes. Like I don't even know where it's at.
And that's another thing that's a freaking nightmare. Whereas like so you compare everything that they did with the 30K, and me and my friend were even talking about this like extensively. It's 6 books, and it's going to be 6 books for 7 years, which I think is a heck of a deal compared to like you're going to get everybody's going to get a new book, and then in 2.5 maybe. And then I think it's been about 3 years per edition since 8th edition. So we went the 9th, now we're in 10th. And this is going to be another half edition, like 6th edition, because they only come out with 2 books. Game's been out for 6 months. They've only come out with 2 books, and they've really just like, they're slow walking everything because even they know it sucks.
They don't even update. Like the thing is, like when Mantic changes their rules, they update the books and they don't get rid of the old starter set. They just re-release it with the new book and alongside whatever new starter. Like, so there's a bit more variety. You can build off the value of those boxes really easily. Like, whereas with GW, you're like, well, I guess I'm playing Space Marines because that's the most viable thing to, you know what I mean? Like,
and a lot of like the game itself has become like handouts to Space Marines. Like, how do we keep these guys completely relevant? Now I remember like, okay, 7th edition, what was it? 5th and 6th edition Space Marines weren't the hot shit. They were just kind of like, we're here, and then 7th edition, they ramped it up. You could play Space Marines again, and there were like 6 heavy hitting factions, and it was a shooting based game. And again, it's a shooting based game. But with Mantic, I got nothing bad to say about Mantic. When I was doing Kings of War videos back in my heyday, I would call it, when I was actually able to get subscribers on YouTube. One of the things that they did right was they came out with they wrote a game, they came out and they gave everybody the rules inside of that book, and then they FAQ'd it after some tournaments for some BS. Okay, I thought there was that item that would allow the ogre shooters to shoot too far, or they could hit on 3s.
Yeah,
and that was a 2nd edition thing. And even then, it's always Kings of War has always been a strong game. I went and I played it in Tennessee a year ago with some guys, and it was just really strong.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I mean, I wish they would be a bit more low key about you can play with the basing size if you really want to. You know, you can use like a DBA style basing if you're into that on a smaller table, that kind of thing. You know, maybe that's a good reason for me to like post the video or something. But, you know, like I just think that like companies like them, Warlord, you know, they have a much better attitude towards their customers. Like it's more of an encouraging kind of, it's not like we're going to change things up on you so often. You're just like, I don't even know where to begin. Like I read the 10th book and I was like, this isn't too bad. This makes sense. I could show my brother how to play this in like an afternoon. That's fine.
You
And
can
then
learn it.
bam, 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 bam. And they promised they play tested it so much. And then all of a sudden it's pretty obvious they didn't really.
No,
play
they
test.
didn't. And the team that wrote 10th didn't even write to the team that wrote 9th. And that was another big problem that they had there. And I think the biggest problem that GW has is that I think they need to fire the staff in the UK and hire Americans to do the job. Just hire, let put 80 Americans in the room because or some Canadians because they have a huge player base. You know, I myself, I will say I'm not qualified to write anything, but I mentioned people who could write it, you know, and they wouldn't have trouble writing it.
There's no reason why they couldn't at least take play testers on from outside the company wherever.
No,
It's just this super. It's just this super paranoid, super controlling way of doing business,
they had this they had this thing where they let the influencers in and they let them play test it. And I'm like, that's going to be the dumbest thing you ever did because one, they're not writers, and two, you know,
well, they're not going to say they're not going to
badmouth it.
They're going to soften their criticism quite a bit because like they probably feel like they have to on some level. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird place to be. I don't know if you. I think it's good to have like a group of people to hang out with and like swap boxes and stuff with, but I think once you get to a certain level, it seems like a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like I just watch battle reports 90% of the time anyway. So like,
you listen, guys.
You know.
I'll this is a suggestion that'll solve all your fucking problems. Just write your own system. That's it. That's what I did. I just all this shit. I'm sick of all these other people's crap. You know how you like to play. Just write your own system.
There's already a perfect war game that exists. It can be applied to any setting, historical or otherwise, and it's called Hordes of the Things.
Yeah, it's a good system. I've played it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
What
For 15 mil.
Sorry, Omen. I thought I clicked you in.
Oh, that's fine. You have to realize I listen just as much as anything else, so I don't take it personal. And if you don't like me, you can do it anyway. I don't take it personal either way.
No, man.
Omen's back.
Just because you're not, you know, painting or crafting, we've been hanging out for the better part of 2 years. You know, I enjoy hanging out with you, man. I just feel stupid because I could have swore I clicked the button and then I'm like, what the hell? I look up because I'm actually crafting, and I was like, what the hell?
Did you send Omen out to like the Black Lodge?
No, I sent him to the cornfield. I wished him to the cornfield. Sorry, bro.
You know what though? If it was the right time of year, that'd just be home.
Speaking of cornfields, let me recommend one on Shudder, Night of the Scarecrow, quite possibly the best made-for-TV horror film ever made.
Yeah,
Night of the Scarecrow, if anyone's ever seen that one. That's a good one.
Nope,
I haven't
never even
seen
heard of
that
it.
one.
But I don't watch a lot of movies or TV. Honestly, I'd rather read a book while I'm listening to
best
one of
Scarecrow
you guys.
movie, I would say.
You know what?
As a matter of fact, Brian, I had when I was on my way down to have a smoke break, I noticed that you just uploaded a video. Did you just like do that while we were here?
Right before I got online.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, check you out,
man. To do like 31 days of Halloween, just like do some like shorts, just some weird shit. So
hey,
I
Brian,
missed 5. Yeah.
My culture is not a costume, okay?
I love it, dude. It was check this out, guys. So Modiphius does Actun Cthulhu, right? Which is like a weird war, game.
Yeah.
And they have these.
I
They
thought it
have
was
this.
like U2, Cthulhu, like Bono and the Great Old One.
But anyway, fucking. I asked. One of their units is like these Native American, like Pathfinders or whatever, and they were referring to the hit. Shit, I always forget the damn name of the tribe. But I asked them, like I got online and I said, so what made you guys decide to do this Native American tribe as instead of
Like what, the Navajo or the Crow?
No, it was a Southwest. It was a Pacific Northwest one. It was the
Algonquin or something. I don't know.
No, the
Algonquin are closer to New England. The Crow are technically Pacific Northwest because they inhabited parts of Idaho. Although
these are the ones. These are the ones who hug the coast of Canada and the U.S. like up by like Washington State.
I know the ones you're talking about. God, what?
They did the totem poles. It's okay. It's not that important. Go ahead.
But anyway, so I'm like, well, I think it's the Tigget is what they're called, and because it's kind of an I mean, it's a well-known Northwest tribe, but it's not like the American, like the Comanche or the Apache or whatever, right? But I asked them, what made you choose that culture? And then, dude, they freaked. They're on their. They're like, oh, we weren't trying to culturally appropriate anything or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't think you're trying to culturally. First of all, I had to look that shit up. I didn't even know what the fuck that meant. But then I went back. I don't feel that you're stealing someone's culture. I'm just asking why you chose that tribe over the
tribe.
Other.
Well, I'm doing the biggest cultural appropriators in history at the moment, the Romans, with their Gallic helmets and their Greek formations and chainmail brought by the Iron Age people of Europe. Like, if you don't culturally appropriate good ideas, then you're missing out, right?
Well, see, here's what gets me is everyone talks about the cultural appropriation, yet when you talk to the people that you're culturally appropriating from,
right?
That they're like, that's so awesome. Like there was one girl.
They're usually amped about it. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, it's like the people that are getting offended are not even of the culture in the first place. That's what gets me about this.
I'm so glad.
The best part
I'm so glad that you, a 45-year-old fat anime nerd, have decided to dress as a Chinese noblewoman. You bring so much honor to my culture. Thank you for respecting my history by showing your chubby under that costume.
The best part about the cultural appropriation is one thing they never mentioned in the Bible is that the Egyptians built a civilization. And then Moses' people who were wandering the desert like, this looks pretty cool. Good place to live here. How can we get in on this action? Well, we need some pyramids built. You can live here, but you're going to have to work. They never mentioned that part.
No, if you actually, no, that's not what happens. Come on. No, don't. Well,
you mean I'm gonna have to do manual labor? I thought I could maybe do, like musical comedy or something like that.
I'm a comedian.
But I love the people who are getting offended for someone else. Like the
I get to see Jerry Seinfeld's relative. What's the deal with the pyramid bricks? Why are they so heavy? Am I right?
They're taking their organs out and put them in jars. Tell me about that.
What's the deal with them taking your brains out with a wire hanger?
Oh geez. But no, it's everyone that seems to get offended, except the people who are doing that. Because like when I was in Afghanistan and I grew out a beard, they were so thrilled. They all sat next to me like every dinner. They wanted to hang out with me. I'm like, oh, you sure? Like, yeah.
Because when you're developing feelings for a dude, you don't want to have dinner with him, man. You want to avoid that guy. Like, the beard helped him distinguish you know, they're very straightforward people. They need like, you know, a little bit of a dimorphism reminder.
Well, what was hilarious was that they always would let the women sit next to me because I thought it was hilarious. But it was because there were a couple of female pilots, and so they'd make sure they would sit next to me, and then we'd have the other ones talking. But the whole thing that comes into it is it's just like Oriental Adventures or anything else. Man, the people complain about Oriental Adventures were never from that region in the first place. If they were, they're so Americanized that they don't understand anything. I said, you know what? Who the hell cares?
This is a good
Just
one.
it's like
I think they
Mastika.
should double
Mastika
down. I
was
think
an
they should
awesome
double down on Oriental Adventures. Get
I
Mickey
think,
Rooney on the cover. Put really bland Asian stir fry recipes in the back that use like zucchini
Mickey
and stuff
Rooney.
that is not
You know-
regional. You know,
You know
like
what's funny about like recipes and everything? You see these people getting yelled at by like Gordon Ramsay, and they never cut over to the one dude in a Chinese restaurant that's like somebody's freaking uncle. Just, yeah, whatever you want on the menu. I could probably whip it up in about 30 seconds. There's like 50 menu items, and he's just back there. He's got a cigarette going, mixing rice and ham together. It's like, yeah, oh, you want some General Tso's chicken? Get into that fridge over there. I cut it up this morning. Throw it in that pan. I got the wok going right now.
yeah.
It's like,
Well, I've
it's
seen
basically
a couple of Ramsay ones where he goes overseas and like tries to learn a local cuisine, and the chef's like, it's not bad, but I wouldn't exactly call it a curry. I wouldn't call it a stir fry. You know, it's all right. It's not great. Like, and like
Okay,
you're like,
so
I wasn't expecting this twist. Like,
so
you know?
I was in Cambodia, and we were at a resort, which is putting it loosely. While we were doing some stuff with the military, and so while we were there, you would one is we would have the special forces guys. They talked to us for some things because they were doing some stuff somewhere else. Anyway, we were all
welcome to the show.
So we were all sitting around there, and the menu had the Khmer food, which is traditional Cambodian food, and then it had the French stuff. So I would, and the portions were kind of small.
What if Cambodians are like intellectuals, people with glasses? Teachers.
Yes. Well, that was well before I ever got there.
Right.
But no, I actually, and I have stories from our
Take care,
driver.
Chris. Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
But
Don't forget, you and the missus, we're gonna do a one-on-one next month.
But the whole thing is that their menu that they served was half French and half Khmer. So you decided which one you wanted. I was like, well, I like the chicken cordon bleu with this something stir fry, whatever, and because I said that was my meal. I was like, oh, okay. So I'd mix them up. There's this whole thing about cultural appropriation. No, what it's called is cultural enrichment, you morons.
Or better yet, cultural appreciation.
It is.
That's exactly right.
The problem is, the definition of creativity is bringing like disparate elements together and making something new out of them. But people are just too stupid now. So you end up with, you don't get that cordon bleu option. You get blue cheese with crickets. Like,
it's like with this tribe, I never heard of it. And so guess what? I spent a whole day reading about their culture, their history, and everything. And it's just like, it's not that, why are you worried about fucking, it's just, you're just showcasing a culture. That's it.
Well,
it's just so strange.
Well, here's the other part. If you didn't showcase this culture, people would never know about it.
Exactly.
That was so cool about a lot of this stuff. Like, I liked reading the Mastika stuff. And to be honest, it's as stereotypical as the European stuff is, but they don't act
you
like
mean
it.
this?
Oh, I know
still,
it. Yeah,
still sealed?
Oh, yeah.
Still sealed? I might actually unseal this.
Oh, no. If you're going to do it,
you lose the value.
PDF. No.
So wait a minute. What is that? That looks interesting.
Yeah.
It's Aztec Forgotten
Holy
Realms
cow.
box set.
Yeah.
I wouldn't open that. I would cherish something like that. There's, I was going to ask you, Mr. Shadow. So there was an entire AD&D book on Oriental Adventures. I remember they had some really cool samurai artwork.
That's what it was called, Oriental Adventures. I've also got a sealed original Boot Hill right here.
So Shadow, Shadow, you don't have to open it up. All you have to do is you just pull up the PDFs that they have of these things, and you go through
Yeah,
those.
you know what? You're right. You're right. I
Shadow,
might
you
even.
need to do a fucking showcase of your damn collection, bro. Not this once a week you show a fucking book. I mean, we like an hour-long documentary about all the bullshit you got.
Hey. We did the Dark Sun one, and how long did that take? That was like 4 episodes.
That's years of content if I
Oh,
milk
no.
it. Come on,
Exactly.
man.
In fact, you
man.
should be milking it. You should be milking
Hey,
it.
you know what, Brian, believe it or not, Grim, who was just in the show, it was actually his idea to do the treasure chest video. He's like, you should get a treasure chest and put something cool in it, you know, and Jackie loves doing it, you know, spilling the coins and you know, I'm actually buying more coins to put in it so more spill out, you know.
I like his little monologue he does every
He
opening.
feels like Scrooge
Hello,
McDuck.
ladies and gentlemen. This is Shadow and Son. We're boxing boxes with boxes upon boxes in boxes.
Dude, he's my pride and joy. You know, as long as I can have him on, you know, until he goes off to the Air Force, I'm gonna, man. You know, whatever it takes. He was supposed to join us tonight, but he's singing in the shower next door. I don't know if you can hear him, but you know,
He sing.
oh yeah, he sings. He plays keyboards.
I mean, what would he be singing in the shower? Like,
I'll tell you off camera because it's
like,
probably
Republican
it's probably
Rome,
it's probably one of some very very old marching type tunes. You know,
it's like was it Lister in Red Dwarf? He's always listening to like military marching music.
Yes, absolutely. It's hysterical, dude.
Rimmer is a bit of a Rimmer is.
Oh no, Rimmer did.
He is a bit of an uptight kind of
you know,
dweeby kind of gamer.
He is living proof that this stuff we have is genetically inherited. Because I didn't get any of that from my old man, but I swear to God, if my old man was alive today, they would be best buds. They would be just chatting away all day long. It's like he's teaching himself German, already speaks Spanish. My old man spoke like 13 different languages. They're both into the history and the military stuff, and I was like totally opposite of all that growing up. And it wasn't until I met you guys that I have to like brush up on my ancient history or somehow I lose my man
That's
card.
Not true. There's like three languages in the world. There's English, Chinese, and Mexican.
And Indian. You know,
no, dude, my dad.
I gotta ask the Kiwi
Indian
bloke. Are there?
Indian is just a local dialect of Mexican. Look it up.
Okay, so how common are the funnel webs? Those big, ugly fang spiders in your where you live?
Well, I live in Sydney, so like I've seen them in my life. They're kind of more up in the Blue Mountains, like maybe an hour or two out of the city. But
what about those bird
an idiot chooses to be incarnated into Australia, and like I'm terrified of spiders. I hate them.
Like how big are they? Are they like the crocodile hunter made everything in that country look so big, so disgustingly awful?
They're not as big as you think. Like
Welcome,
they're about
James.
smaller than your hand. Hi on, man. Smaller than your hand, but like what's really huge are the bird-eating ones that are like the size of.
Ones.
So you know everyone talks about that, but if you live in the South, you're used to seeing these big giant things anyway. You know, it's just
they ride them to work down there.
Yeah.
Ride them to work down there. Crikey, mate.
Wow.
This was the real reason that
This
he
is
did
like
it.
cultural exchange going on right here.
He just wanted he could not move to the northern hemisphere because he just wanted to make sure that the swirl in the toilet went the right way. You know, that was the whole thing.
I couldn't move to the northern hemisphere because divorce is too expensive.
Oh.
Because what?
Divorce is too expensive.
Yeah,
Divorce
northern
is too
hemisphere women are cold and calculating and will take your stuff. Southern hemisphere women are sultry and warm and make a nice home.
You know, well, the same thing applies to Eastern European women. They're all northern.
I've never had an Aussie in my life, so I don't know. I'll have to try that sometime. Just don't
I'm
tell
sure
Mel.
Mel would love to hear
Yeah.
that.
I don't do it
We'll
with
talk,
Australian women.
I'll booze her
Australian
up a
women
little
are,
bit. Maybe she'll join me. I don't know. Shit.
Australian
You
women
just
they have like big heads. Like,
you just have to get her to have the accent, and then you're there. You know, that's just you just have to put up enough Crocodile Dundee and
Australian women don't cook, they don't clean. I don't actually know what they do.
They've got a
I think
mouth
they
on
all
them,
work,
from my experience.
I think they all work in HR. I think every Australian woman works in HR, from what I understand.
Hey, nerd, we're sorry for saying that. You know, you don't have to. You're cool, but
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I swung by Perch
You're
for a little
right.
bit a few years
you're
back.
right. You're
and
clearly
women there
autistic. You're
they had a
clearly
mouth on 'em.
autistic enough to hang out with us. So, like, you know.
You
What
guys
we
just
doing
have a
over
big.
there,
You guys
nerds?
had a big gaming con down there just last weekend, didn't you? In Sydney?
CanCon is like the big thing down in the capital. Yeah, like they have like DBA tournament and like 40K and Kings of War and How's Your Mother? I just made that one up, but
What
You got a
were you
great
doing in
minis
Australia?
company down
Nerd?
there.
doesn't require
Eureka.
require
Good one.
dice. Pardon?
You got a good minis company down there, Eureka. That's a great minis company.
They're great.
Yeah.
They do a really good pack of pirates actually in 28 mil.
Yeah.
It's like I've been eyeing off for a long time. I don't know why I need pirates, but I've got English Civil War, and that was kind of a bit of a problem. They actually lost a whole island to like Arab pirates during the middle of that, which is surprising. Became a pirate base for a little while, so yeah, I'll throw in some pirates.
Hey, you know what though? That's and I know Shadow wants to run a game for that, but Pirates of the Caribbean, and I don't mean the movie. I'm talking about the old pirates from Sid Meier. That was a lot of fun for going through the history and stuff like that. I probably learned more from history from that game than I did from any of the history taught in school. So
Yeah, that's part of my problem with history is that
it screws you up.
literally we had the same history book from like 1st through 6th and then 7th through 12th grade. It was the same history book at school, and we would just start all over at the beginning of a new year. We'd start back and redo the same stuff. And I'm like,
get past like the Reconstruction by the end of the year.
In Australia, they teach for the first 4 years of high school, like pretty much just Australian history, and that puts everyone off because Australian recorded history is like 250 years. So you're doing the same 250 years for like, I don't know.
So do they end with World War I and say, this is why we don't like English people?
No, I think
Gallipoli, they end.
No, like surprisingly, there isn't a lot. The whole attitude towards Gallipoli is more like remembering the sacrifice rather than blaming Winston Churchill. You know what I mean? Even though he did make a grave error.
I put a lot of so I did. If you get a chance, there's a video on my channel called The Psalm.
Okay.
And you did a good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really like World War I actually, so I will.
And I was thinking about doing other ones, but I was reading some Civil War history, and I'm like, I think if things had just been a little bit different, General McClellan Little Mac would have been a perfect general for World War I because he actually gave a shit, and he would always just tell his guys, like, I'm not just going to send you guys into the slaughter mill. This has to be a well thought out plan when we actually do go on the move. We have to have an escape plan as well, and the way he proceeded.
The Union had a conveyor belt of terrible generals for a long time, didn't they?
Well,
it took them ages to get it right.
But McClellan was not that great either. If you look at it, Grant was far superior, and he ended the war. McClellan was afraid to even move against Lee, so Lee would keep on outflanking him all the time.
Well, I think the Southern strategy was like pretty much like by the skin of their teeth. Like they had like elan and momentum, and like it's just once
They
the
had the
union
better
got them.
generals. They
Yeah,
had
but
the
the
better
thing is,
Once
with the South,
the
they just
union got their machine going properly, it
just
was
didn't have
like,
the
okay, I've got to
they
compete
couldn't
against this
support the
grind.
army. The South
Well,
could not support the army. It just
that
couldn't
was one.
support it.
But the other one really came down to when you really look at when it was there, is McClellan was afraid to move anywhere, and that was frustrating. That's what frustrated Lincoln so much. If you Grant, what was funny is everyone talks about the president and how he's being sabotaged. The same thing happened to Grant when he became president. That they kept talking about how much of a drunk he was. They were putting him down because the journalists didn't like him. But if you actually look at what Grant did more in what was it in 18 months than all the other generals combined. And he was one, and it was the same thing with Patton. I mean, their view was you take the casualties now to end the war now. That was the big difference.
Whereas, like, well, by the time you get to the Somme, you had already reached the crescendo of Verdun, and you were already, I want to say, 250,000 guys dead in Verdun by the time you even get to the Somme and everything. And so they just kept feeding these men into the mill, whereas like they couldn't find a way to move against one another without just like, okay, we're going to throw bodies at you.
Well,
And,
yeah. The other thing is it's very similar to what's going on in Ukraine now.
Of course, we're still here, Mini Warmut. Hey, nerds. You never got a chance to answer that question. What were you doing in Australia?
Yeah, I didn't know you. Who let you in?
I was forced in. I was floated in on a Marine Corps boat.
Cool.
So we just had 3 days,
Nerd was
4
a
days
jarhead,
of
weren't
port.
you?
I was.
So nerds is laughing at us right now for all being fat and overweight, and or being too skinny, and still skinny fat and stuff like that. So no,
I am. I'm pretty lanky. I was air wing. Don't think I was anything tough.
No, I'm just like, well, yeah. I mean, I'm just
even having to do
like 30
basic
years
would
younger than the rest
benefit
of us.
most gamers, I think.
I try to put the fitness videos out there, but I don't think anybody watches them. I mean, you put a thumbnail including Paul Orndorff on there, Mr. Wonderful. People are turned off by that, and it's just,
I think
it's nothing
I think
personal,
a lot of
Diver. It's just I don't want to see this dude working out in his garage. It seems kind of strange to me. I'm watching some guy lift weights in his garage.
That's where you got to do it, man. Let me tell you something.
you need to ham it up.
Weirdest
and wear,
thing
like,
about
America
America to
like
me,
shades.
For living in America,
the sweatbands.
The weirdest thing about me, the weirdest thing that I find about America is just like how affluent we are, that we all have 2 living rooms. Hey, there's one just he's doing the pull-ups right there.
Yeah, we all have no excuse. I mean,
we all have 2 living rooms for no reason whatsoever. And it's like, oh, my wife, she likes to entertain. I'm like, who are you going to entertain outside of your own family and maybe immediate friends? And most guys aren't even allowed to have friends in this country if they're married.
Well, you know what the kicker is with
my
me?
girlfriend's friends are other cat ladies.
I got to the gym,
so
right?
We don't see
and
them.
I'm fucking working out, and I get fucking rhabdo, dude. So I'm like, I'm at the doctor. I'm like, okay, doc, like, I need to lose this weight. I'm 50. I need to get back into shape, because I've done all that stuff in the past. I was a pretty athletic guy back in the day.
But anyway, you can't see it right now, but I've got a shiner on this eye from my friend last night.
But yeah, then I'm like, okay, so I'm working out, and now I'm fucking almost dying because of it. So when this gets done, can I go back to working out? And they're like, yeah, you can't, just go easy. And I'm like, well,
I think
what the fuck is easy?
Well, you know what I say? Just take a crap ton of steroids and see how jacked you can get, and play the Doom Guy music in the first age, the end of the first battle.
I'll say this much: as
In
I'm
the
getting
first
older,
stage, my penis had become an acorn.
well, actually, as I get older, I just use lighter and lighter weights and just go up in the reps. You know, that's what some of it comes down to.
That's what I was doing.
I
dude. I was
think
doing
most
minimal
gamers,
weight,
I think most
but
of the
high
people in
reps.
your, I think most of the people in your audience, like, that's not bad advice. I think it's more that a lot of gamers actually even just need to be brought to the stage where they're eating like veggies and going for a walk and drinking water every
Veggies
day.
are bad
You know what I
for you.
mean? Like
No, well,
some of them are
Veggies are
some of them
bad
are
for you.
very
That's why I
like
have not
some of them
touched
are
them in
very
50
like
years.
they don't even do like really basic things, you know,
even
like
small things like okay, it's like I'm constantly fighting with my dad, who's 70. I think he's going to be he's 74 or 73. And I'm like, Dad, I don't want you drinking these protein shakes. Stop drinking these potions. You know, get up,
Mhm.
have a steak in the morning and 2 eggs. Have a steak and 2 eggs for lunch, and then have a piece of chicken and 2 eggs for dinner. Then you're done. And if you
That's
want to, and if
Omen
you
right
want to
there.
cook some if you want to cook some spinach and some carrots inside of that grease, eat that. That's 10
Mhm.
times better for you than these freaking potions that they're putting out there. And
So
it's cheaper.
I will say this much.
Any home cooking is like superior. You know what I mean?
I-
Like we almost never eat takeout, and that's made a big difference. Like I'm not particularly active, but like I have a reasonably good diet. I have a bit of a spinal injury, which is why I have the time and the money to work on wargaming. But
Oh,
I
that's a
just
good.
I don't have any women in my life, so I just sort of I come down here and it's just like, yeah, I can live with this. You know what's
I
funny?
will build the woman. I will build the woman out of random chaos
I build
parts,
her.
and
If I build her,
it will hurt
Oh.
my holes.
You know what? Well, here's what it comes down to, and I hate saying this, is after going out with a Romanian woman who could actually cook and was very attractive, and then I look at what's available now. I went, you know what? I'm just better off being single. That's
Just
I don't
become a
really have that
wizard.
problem. I
Becoming
mean,
a
I'm
wizard.
already married. I've got a woman. You know, so like I don't need to, but I don't need to look good. I just need to get healthy. That's
Okay,
my. I
all
don't
right.
I'm
necessarily
settled
care
down.
if I look
I'm
good.
settled down, but honestly, being a wizard is the most ascended thing you can do. Like, I respect
You
wizards.
just concentrate on wizardry, huh?
I was a
Okay.
wizard for many
I've
years.
always
I
wanted
was a
to play
wizard
a
for many
wizard in a
years.
Dungeons. But staying on topic, I've always wanted to play the part of a wizard, but I wanted to be like a wizard who was like Dr. House. He's just a big know-it-all dick. And then like nobody's gonna shed one tear for him when he finally does kick the bucket. Be like, yeah, that guy was an asshole, wasn't he?
Hey, wait a minute. Isn't that all magic users?
No, most magic users are pretty humble and nice because they need usually a burly protector for
Yeah,
the
they need
first
that. You
couple
need
If
levels
you
to not
can, if
No,
die.
you can truly,
I meant
if you
when
can
they die,
truly
no one
forgo
sheds a
the
tear.
pleasures of, if you can truly forgo the pleasures of sin, you will ascend to wizard status and you will get wizard powers. It happened to me. Okay, it's real.
Yes, but all of us want to get past first level.
And if you go even further, and have like an asexual relationship with a femboy, you'll get anime powers as well.
That's
And you'll
why I
see
said,
you'll
so let's
see
say
the world in anime. Like
you go
you'll see the
back to
world differently.
stats and everything on that. If you like the wizard I statted up had a dexterity of 17 and an intelligence of 17. That's where I decided to put his two big ones. And basically, if you're a magic user and you get a dexterity of 17, you go to armor class 7, and at least that's something.
I'm gonna bring a little bit different because I was playing a mage in OSE there.
And well, hold on, let me finish. You can use a sling, which like anybody can use, and you're +2 to hit with that sling, which means you've got a. Now, why does the wizard Stako? It doesn't start at 20. How does that work?
They all start at the same. Actually, if you look at an OSE, they're all the same. In AD&D, they're off by 1. It's 1 different. So it's like Thaco's still 20, but I think it's in armor class 1 is still 20 for him. So there's a difference for that. That's why when people talk about Thaco, I'm like, well, Thaco isn't what you think it is. You have to pull up the chart to find out what it's supposed to be.
Are you guys excited for Axe, the new version of Axe when it comes out?
I backed it. I backed it, and I've also got Course Cthulhu right now, or Cohorts Cthulhu backed, and next week I plan on backing Grimtooth's Traps for the.
Well, I don't use Kickstarter because I back the Lord.
I remember backing my first Kickstarter, and it was for the remake of Hero Quest that was going to be done by that company, that miniatures company in Europe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and they never came out with it, and I lost all my money.
Ooh, here's been my rule: is you have to have shown that you had several successful ones and have delivered.
And then there was the weird shit that happened with Soda Pop miniatures, and I used to game with the guy who was like the money dude for Soda Pop miniatures.
Mercs, was that Mercs?
His name was Copenhagen. So I think it was Chris Copenhagen or something like that. I can't remember. He was the money guy for Soda Pop miniatures and everything. And then like there was the guy in Idaho, and they like got something like $2 million, and it mysteriously disappeared.
I'll bring
Dungeon Minister, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
It's for Kickstarter. I've done mostly RPGs and books, and most of my Kickstarter has been less than $100. Actually, $100 to $200. But if it's only the one,
Really,
with
mine are almost always 500.
Well,
Every
no.
time.
I did that with the Conan one, and that's the one. And then Tainted Grail was up in there, but most of mine are under. But most of the stuff I get are books anyway, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
I've only done one. I did the. It's funny you said the Hero Skate or Hero Quest. I did the one from what is it?
Hasbro.
Hasbro. That's the only one I've ever done, and it was great.
Yeah, it's still a solid game. Jackie loved it because he got to kill my, try to hunt down my elf or my wizard. But I've been pretty lucky with Kickstarters. The biggest issue is time. Sometimes that's the money, or not getting it back. Thank God I didn't back Robotech, because had I known about it, I would have. And I was lucky to actually just buy the game after the fact from Miniature Market for like, nickels on the dollar practically. It was super freaking cheap.
I would have.
Of course, I never played it.
I would have loved, and I saw it. Unfortunately, it sold out before I bought it, so it saved me a lot of money. Was Miniature Market had the Joan of Arc 1.5 out with the 15 millimeter miniatures, and then they had the dragon, and the dragon was bigger than most 28 millimeter dragons. That thing is huge. I don't know if you've ever looked at it, but I thought, well, that's kind of weird. But that dragon sold out so fast, like I won't buy the rest of it. So that probably saved me several $100s. So
one of the best, what TSR never did was they had that successful. It was that mildly successful game with Dragon Strike, and they could just never bring that kind. They could never bring themselves to create that exact same kind of starter for Dungeons and Dragons itself. With those, it had a decent set of miniatures in there, and I think if they could do that, if they had done that cross-platform with let's say that we're going to release AD&D, we're going to still push that on the market, and we're going to bring out the Dragon Strike miniatures, better ones with that, because they did come out with a pewter line, and they used the pewter line instead. I think they would have had a hit there, and they probably would have stuck around.
Was Dragon Strike the one with the video, the VCR cassette?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it had
those were great acting.
Did it have like a scorpion man in it?
The man, you're locked in a fight with the deadly man scorpion. What do you want?
That sounds like something out of Venture Brothers, man. Just the way you said that.
Oh, remember the
barbarian in that looks like
well,
like Fabio or something.
Well, see, the problem with them is just like what I'm starting to see with WotC now, which I know they're under Hasbro. Is they want to go everything digital, and they're overproducing everything, and the quality is not there, and people just get burned out.
We talked about that. I think the reason they're doing that is that I think they don't give a shit about the old timers. It's the new people, but the kids now, the generation now that are walking into it, that's all they know is screens and instant, quick transactions and all that shit.
Well, we can talk about that, but here's the problem that you're looking at. So I'm talking about with Magic. people getting burned out of Magic,
yeah.
and it's that was their real cash cow, and now they're going, well, we're going to do this, and so it's the same thing that they were talking about with in the early '90s with the comic books when the comic book crash happened. When they kept on releasing all these comics and more comics,
variant covers and all that shit.
Yeah, variant covers, and then you had to have the crossover, and you had to buy everything, and then the only people buying were collectors. And the problem is when the collectors stop buying, then they're out. And I'm talking to my friends who are big collectors of Magic, and they're going, you know what? If you're going to overproduce this stuff, I'm just going to get proxies and use those because I don't care if they have to do official or not. And now they're getting rid of the Judges Guild or whatever, where they train the Magic referees. They're getting rid of that. I think they don't realize that, part of the fun of Magic or D&D and everything else is to get with your friends, make up your own stories, and to run with it. They're as much as we talk about video games, and I love video games too, part of the fun for me, and I know we do all this stuff online, is I like to sit down. I like to play for a couple hours. We sit down, we have a meal together, which has kind of that, and then we start up in game again because it's that social aspect that they can't replicate. And that's
the part they're trying to monetize. They want to charge you for the pleasure of being with your friends on a Friday night.
Well, that's the thing. It's the generation that they're targeting. Just they don't do that shit. They're all online
you're
like
absolutely
this.
right.
But there's a wider product cycle at play where, like, in a few years they'll come back with like fancy hardcover and like leather bound versions with like lots of extra rules and go.
They have them. They have it now.
We understand that we haven't been looking after our old timers. We hear you. So at WotC, we've created this thing that's like $500.
Well, they also got that chick that's currently running Wizards of the Coast, and she's not the brightest tool in the shed. I doubt if she's ever played a game of Magic the Gathering.
I'm sure she's read a lot of Marx and Gramsci and Adorno, so you take that back.
Well, see, here's the thing. You got the 50th anniversary coming up next year. And yet,
is it really 50?
The 50th next year. And you think what they would do if they were smart is they would start going over and saying, guess what? You're right about this. We're going to do a 50th edition white box D&D in wood with inlay. I mean, they should be going all out for that. There's almost nothing. All they talk about is the other stuff. And I went, you know what? That's like printing money. Is you can go over and say, look, we're going to do the old white box. You're going to get that. We're going to put in all of the specialty, like you see with the Kickstarter. Not only that, we're going to do an inlaid box. Who cares? Like
all
the
the supplemental books.
All
that.
All the 50.
I think they're scared of anniversaries after their Magic the Gathering 30th anniversary, where they just got reamed for weeks and weeks.
Well, they deserve that because they said they would never reprint it. This is different. This is an homage. And, the other thing that gets me about all these games, and I'm going to say this, who's buying the $500 stuff for Kickstarter and all the collectible editions? It's people like myself that have the disposable income, not the 20-year-olds that can't afford a car, let alone decent food. I mean,
a 20-year-old whose parents have disposable income.
Well, they'll come back to you in like 2 or 3 years with like something really sleek.
That's another thing that's
spend your money
a huge
again,
problem
and then we'll
with the
drop
wargaming community is that they keep targeting the parents of teenagers. I don't give a shit about the parents of teenagers. You need to target me. Well, hold on. They want to make that one-time sale to uninformed parents of teenagers, where it's like, okay, they build up the Space Marines and everything, and then they tack on. So you're in the shop and you make that first time $600 purchase. You buy, and then you open up all this stuff on Christmas, and then you realize that you got to go and you got to paint it.
And see, that's the problem that I have with it. Is this is why I like the push fit. This is why the game like Space Hulk was so great.
Yes,
put together and you just play and see. That's the I know that we were talking about
all you needed was a pair of sprue cutters, a razor blade, and some super glue, and you were good to go with that. And that's how it should be, just out of the box. But the kits that they're making now are just freaking insane.
They're very complicated. Like I struggle with them. Like I got a.
Oh,
few
I remember
problems
the
with them.
kit now. It was the Commandos. From the whatever you call it. I had a lot of trouble with them.
Catch
Kill
again.
team.
The Kill Team Commandos, when I first encountered them for the first time and started to build
They
them.
look good though. They do look good.
They're an awesome kit. And they're actually really good in game for 40K. Like it's like almost.
I'm not a big like orc guy in 40K, but I really always love those and the rocket troopers, like the guys that are just flying over in smog and jumping on people.
The what do you call it? Those are also really good because they move really quick. Storm Boys.
Yeah. But part of it is and I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but the love of miniatures that I loved as a kid were from the super small sets, not the massive armies. It was, I can do this. And it's here's what like I said earlier in the stream is, there was a sci-fi game we had. It probably had about 10 pages of rules, if that, talking about movement, something very simple. It had the little characters in there, and it's like, here's how you play. And I know that James L talked about, with the 5 parsecs from home. That's the kind of rule set where you can use any miniatures and you get them into the hobby. And once they're into the hobby, then you start wanting to get them more into there. And then like I still need to create some characters.
It's like sci-fi Rangers of Shadow Dick, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
it's an RP element to it also.
Yeah, I like those skirmish games. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm trying at the moment to get into building big regiments and stuff. But I like if I just want to explore a period or like a setting, like it's nice to have a few like side chicks that are just like smaller than platoon level, just a couple of squads or something. I'm a dabbler.
Yeah, but see, this is the kind of stuff I want is give me a rule set that I can play with anything, and then I'll use whatever miniatures are available. Like, okay, I've got these, I'll use them. And then, the problem is that to actually really play a 40K game with the exception of Kill Team, which I'm glad they brought it out, but for years, they didn't have those small skirmish games. And it was like, how are you even supposed to get into that hobby? I can't afford that.
I think 40K as well plays better at like 1,000 points. You know what I mean? Like,
the new one definitely. We've had a lot of really good epic games at 1,000 points in the newer one, but even a 1,000 point army is like a $600 pool depending on what you do. I mean, like if I were to buy my 1,000 point army, my current rendition. I even got my phone. Hold on. If I were to actually look at this right now on the app.
I hear that. I pay Australian tax, though. I know it.
Oh, I know. So my current 1,000 point army would be I'm out for trucks, a unit of Meganobs. I got to buy 2 Squigoths, and those are Cromlech or Storm or Spellcrow or whatever. 2 units of bikes, 2 Squigoths, a unit of Meganobs, 2 trucks, a War Boss and a War Boss in Mega Armor. Unit of Meganobs. It's not cheap. That's
I think when printing is completely moron proof, that's when I'll get into it. Like a few revisions down the line, when I can just lick the window of the printer and it'll create like an army ready for me to paint, then I'll probably get into that. Like,
well, I mean, Necromunda is a perfect one. The idea that you can just buy a couple miniatures here and there instead of trying to buy.
Look at that guy. No mustache.
Well,
you shaved your stash, dude.
Just a little, yeah.
Just a little.
Bring it back, Chico.
But like right here, how in the world are you supposed?
I find it very strange that you can tell from over here, because I couldn't see a real difference.
Well, the mustache announces itself before.
Not that look at this shit. I mean, I'm a professional.
So I'm looking right now for some of the stuff from Necromunda. $36 for a single miniature from Forge World. I mean, this.
I mean,
Games
Well,
Workshop
Magic the
proved-
Gathering. Surely Magic the Gathering is the biggest scam because people are paying that kind of money for just like.
So
paper.
Games Workshop has proved that you will pay $84 for a single miniature. I'm about to, my friend, and the question I had with one of my friends was, yeah, Sigismund for the Imperial Fist chapter is a really, really badass model for $84. But do I want to paint him urine stain yellow like the rest of my pre-bought eBay army that I've got? The Pimp Hands and Pimp Brides Brigade, they're all purple and urine stained gold, basically. I like it.
No, it's good. Always lean into their prescribed color schemes. Otherwise, you'll go insane painting the same thing over and over.
So
and
I
over
went off.
again.
I went off and I bought an army for Warhammer 30K. I'm happy with the purchase, but I continued to paint more for the army than I had. So it's I mean, they're all urine stained yellow and they're metallic purple.
The games that I see played in 40K look boring as fuck. It's like, okay, secure this widget 3 inches from the left corner, it all comes down to like rushes.
My brother
and
and I
this
have
stupid
like
shit.
we've got Xenos Rampant and another game called Swatters, which is like a bug hunt style sci-fi rules. We're going to use those. Like, I just have no interest in, like, I'm not into this min-maxing kind of thing anyway. I like lots of grunts on the table doing various things.
Wait a minute. Holy
there's no
crap,
heart,
guys.
in my opinion. There's no heart in the game. There's no heart in the game.
Wait a minute, stop.
There's no
You're gonna bring up
individual
the original
actions.
Okay, hold it. I'm looking online. The original Rogue Trader book they're reprinting.
Yeah, I heard that.
I
thought they already did that once.
They're milking,
They did.
milking the nerds, and you hungry bastards will eat it up.
They've already proven that P is for pirate. You'll buy anything. They can do literally whatever they want. And I think on one of my streams, I already showed a lot of, I mentioned, this is probably why I get algorithmically demoted, because I'm going to sit there, you're going to say all these metropolitan, wannabe intelligent, intellectual tabletop gamers aren't as intelligent as white trash when they tank the share price of Bud Light by boycotting Bud Light.
The thing is, white trash know how to make things work with gaffer tape, and that's just a skill that they don't have.
Man.
So
what I mean?
I know, but they literally. I'm going to look up the share price for Bud Light right now. I doubt they've recovered because the entire stock market's been in the shitter today. Even baby food is down. I'm invested in even baby food is down. Oh yeah, I forgot. Nobody in the West is having kids, but hold on, let me see here.
No, hold it. When you're looking at it, and I saw something that it's like the 7 or 8 top ones are actually making money in the stock market. That's pushing up the stock market, but it's the rest of them that have lost like 20%. Like Hasbro has lost. What was Hasbro's stock price? Let me go look it up, just to show you on how. And I wish I'd shorted the stock. I'm kicking myself because I told my father I wanted to short the stock.
Just start putting stocks in those missile developers like Raytheon and
Okay. You know what? I ought to, next time I see the Ranger, I'm going to hit him right in the stomach because I asked them. They were at their 52-year low, and I'm like, you know of any wars that are going to come up? Should I buy a bunch of stock? I didn't get a text message back from that MFer.
My girl's cousin has just been deployed to the Middle East, so like something's going on.
All right.
I've been seeing a lot of Instagram reels of people like videotaping trains full of military equipment.
When you see army recruitment ads with like white guys and rock music, it's over.
They're never getting us back. You know, the thing that should be on the voice and lips of every single young man out there who's capable of joining is hell no, we won't go. Biden's gotta go.
No.
This is the one time when they should just stay home. They should just stay home, smoke pot, and play video games. Now is the time to actually do that, right?
Actually, they're doing that anyway. But here's the thing. Hasbro has gone from, what is it? It went from $72 in September, and now it's at $48. It has. Okay, now wait. Now that was year to date. Now let's look at it. At the 5 year. So we're talking right before the pandemic was at 121. So it's lost.
Hasbro alone, I'm going to leave it on this before I get out of the stream. Hasbro has basically they have a business where they can print money whenever they want. They just have to come out with the GI Joe vehicles that we want. All right, just come out with the entire. I don't mind buying a crap ton of GI Joes because I can play with them in the tub. I can play with them on my table. As long as I have those gigantic vehicles that they used to put out from the 80s, they can get my money. Somebody did a Kickstarter and they came up with the what do you call it? Cobra airship, the Cobra mothership.
Oh my God, I saw that. It's like
It's
what,
a
$500 or some shit.
$500, but it comes with all these guys. It comes with like 2 Vipers. It comes with 2 Trouble Bubbles. Just they could print money right now if they wanted to come out with the reprints of the 80s figures in giant box sets that are like.
Okay, I got something better for you, brother. If you're into GI Joe, I'll let you on the side note of 28 millimeter wargaming GI Joes, brother. Cobra and GI Joe, all of them, 28 mil.
Wait a minute. My mother has.
It's on the download, man. It's on the download.
Hold it. My mother has the 12-inch GI Joes that include.
Really?
I think.
Like
Norman
Duke
Schwartz.
and...
Hold it.
Oh,
Norman,
okay.
No. Norman Schwarzkopf, Colin Powell, and a couple of other ones out there from Desert Storm. I remember those. So they've got those, and then my mother also has the military Barbies of each of the like Air Force, Marines, Navy. She has all those too. And I was like, oh, okay. So when you're talking about these things, bring out the old GI Joes that were the 12 inches, and then give me the Storm Shadow and all those other, the full size 12-inch.
So wait a minute. You can bring in the 12-inch GI Joes, throw them in the Barbie house, and then kick Ken out by the curb. Like you wait in the cuck shed.
Oh no! You get better. Is you use them like SEAL Team 6.
Oh, yeah. You said the wrong words.
No. You like
I've done so much work to avoid seeing that Barbie movie. Like my girlfriend and I, like she's just like, oh, you have to see it. You have to see it. You have to see it. It's weeks of like absolute refusal. I'm not going there.
I reiterate this to my family all the time. I'm like, did Video Game Nerd review it? Did he refuse to review it? Yeah, he refused to review Barbie. He didn't make it. He tweeted about it. He's like, I'm not watching the movie. It's okay. This is where he diverges from what's his name, Critical Drinker. Is that Critical Drinker will watch anything?
He's great.
Whereas I wish I had 1/10 of the talent. I just don't have that nice Scottish accent that he's got there.
The guy who was just in chat from the Hilt. I'll try and hook him up with you guys later if you're big GI Joe fans. I think he actually created a GI Joe RPG. So
I've seen a couple of those.
So I mean,
he's going to be on my show next month, and I'll make sure we talk about that because he seems to be, even though he's an up and comer type of thing, he's got some really good content.
So
Ham is still writing the comic.
Here's the other one. Look at Disney stocks. And what is Disney down? Disney's lost. Let me see.
They're never going back into the $100 club. I've already told my family that. I'm like, look, don't even buy it. It's a junk bond company. I told them it's going to dip and then it's going to go back up because they're going to fire a bunch of people. Sell. Always be closing on Disney stock. It's not, but it just the way that some of these companies are run these days, like GW, Hasbro. I mean, it's not hard. This isn't. I mean, you were making toys. Just make toys. I mean, now people don't even buy from Hasbro anymore. They still own the rights to Transformers. They own the IP, but they don't own the right to make the toys anymore. They lost that to the Japanese company Takara, who's pimped it out to a bunch of other people to do whatever they want. Takara has given people license to make like the Masterpiece series from Takara. Yeah, I mean, it's like doesn't matter if you come out with
They make
Transformers.
some good action figures. They always have. I still have some from back in the day. Jackie absolutely freaking loved them.
I had this argument with my brother-in-law. I said, I looked at his son. I'm like, hey, Ryan, do you even care about, do you even have any Transformer toys? Do you even know what a Transformer is? No. And I'm like, no, that's why. They're not going to remarket it to his generation. They're marketing it to me because I'll spend $115.
Kids don't fucking play with toys anymore. All these toys are marketed to like adults. The kids aren't playing with action figures. They're not playing with
It was over the first time.
They have no imagination.
Okay. I will say this much: as my son, he would play with them because I gave him the Tonka trucks and stuff, and he enjoyed that when he was a little kid. But nowadays, I just get him DeWalt tools, and away he goes.
Jackie, when he was 11 or 12 years old, finally put up his Legos and things like that. And just it was done, which makes that about 3 or 4 years ago. You go into like Toys R Us closed down, and the kids just don't have a clue. And
I think it's kind of like what kids started asking when you put a toy in front of them. What does it do? And that was always like an indicator that things were on the. Things are on the downside.
There is hope.
I think it's a bit disappointing that like Lego is like made prohibitively expensive for kids because
oh my god,
like,
it's outrageous.
The old guys are buying it. Like I think that's a bit lame. It's like let the little kids have the Lego.
Look at where we are. You've got guys stabbing one another in Walmart Target parking lots for Pokemon cards. Full-grown men. And that's and when that stabbing occurred, they never that is some gangster shit right there. Okay,
hold it.
Dungeon Minister, guys.
Pokemon cards.
There you go.
Dungeon Minister says his boys still play with toys. Mind you, they're I think a little younger or around Jackie's age, but he only shows them 80s cartoons.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Man. That is
See,
the way to go.
my son wanted that, but these toys right here, which are the giant Mega Blocks, which are not the Legos. I have Legos too for my son. He played with these until he was 12, so 2 years ago, because I bought him 3 sets and they were big and he could shake them around and you go and they would go like this.
Shadow, you think you're a hoarder? Look at fucking Owen's still got his kids fucking jumbo blocks.
We've got every Lego set.
My son is
Hero
14.
Factory
He used
and
these until
Bionicle.
2 years ago.
You know what? Those blocks, Omen, were great for Giant Monster Rampage, a game we reviewed a while back, where you use your Godzilla toys and your dinosaurs and like fight each other. And we would make buildings out in the game. They actually had rules to make buildings out of those exact blocks so that as you smash into them or breathe on them or whatever, you could take off X number of pegs, or whatever to show the damage. It was a blast.
Oh, and I want to say one other thing here. I offered
like
to give these to my friend, and my son said, "No, you can't get rid of those." But I have the regular Legos too. But here's the problem. Oh, by the way, a little side note: did you see what the new Lego is for Dune, where they have the ornithopter?
What?
They're gonna make a Dune one?
They have a Lego Dune ornithopter, and it looks pretty cool.
Huh?
Oh, it's anyway. But no, I got him like stuff that he did. You know what he did is he made me build it, and then he sat there at 4 years. Oh no, he was 3 years old. And he looks at me and he smiles and he does this, and he pushes it right off of the table, and it smashes on the ground. All the pieces go flying. I'm like, it took me 2.5 hours to build that, right?
That's why I probably couldn't be a dad, because I would have been like, you little shit. And then my wife would come into the room. HD 8 is enough.
Hey,
why is
you need to get a woman that can kick your ass, dude.
Well,
That's the kind of woman you need, is a fucking tough chick that ain't gonna put up with any bullshit.
I told my dad, Ronda Rousey might be able to hurt me, but she's not gonna win. She's not gonna win.
I just need I just need a woman that can cook. That's just too rare nowadays. There's someone
out there for you guys. I'm telling you, you You just gotta, hang out at the right place and do what you're doing. And when the time is right, it'll happen.
You know what?
I'm-
You say
the wrong
I'm
thing.
50. It's happened to. It's gone
I'm
by.
telling you, be
I
a
missed
wizard.
it.
Become
Be a
a
wizard.
wizard. Become a wizard. Like
Just take just
transcend
all of
women.
your time and effort into wizardry,
Transcend
and you'll
women.
get whatever you want,
That-
right?
just ponder the orb. Just ponder the orb.
Wait a
That's
minute.
all
Wait a
you
minute.
have to do.
This is what happens to you. You become like Lopan, where you're in the wheelchair.
Yeah,
looking for
yeah.
that
You got to be
green-eyed
low
woman.
pan.
Hey, look, by the time we're all in like wheelchairs and can barely move, we're gonna have like automated partners that do whatever we want.
But no. So you look at this the wrong way. It's by the time that we're in wheelchairs, we'll have all the time in the world to play these board games with each other in person. So that's what it comes down to.
That's
Brian,
what we need. We
if
need to
they're-
start.
if
We
they're
need to
putting-
start. We need to
if they're
start
putting
a
cameras
war
and,
gamers retirement community.
If
You know
they're
what?
putting cameras and
like that.
microphones in your tablet, don't be surprised when they put one in your dick hole.
Go to libraries. At least you'll know the chicks can read. Nice.
I go to the library. You know what? I go to the library to play board games. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
That was pretty cool because we went to the library down here because me and
Hey,
Omen
you know
live by
what?
each other.
We're missing a golden opportunity.
What?
Nerds, you got to have a comment on this topic.
Chicks dig wizards.
Damn! Fucking chicks
Go.
and wizards.
Become a
It's
wizard.
always damn wizards, man.
Wait a minute. It depends on the kind of tricks you're pulling. That's
Gandalf
what it really
was stacking more bitches and papers than Aragon any day of the week. There you go.
Oh, what's that line from Arrested Development? Tricks are what whores do for money. I do illusions.
Anyway, I hate saying this because I don't really want to buy from GW, but if they're going to be bringing out the 40K, I'm so tempted to buy Rogue Trader again. They just need the.
I've got
Give me the
original
PDF,
right here.
dude.
What
I'll
do you
send
do?
it to you.
No. I mean the actual physical copy. I got the PD. I have the original.
You're just going to use
book,
it as
too.
you're just
I
going to
had
end
that
up
one.
using it as a
All
source.
right.
Except it was in hardback. I had the hardback.
Wizards.
You're going to use
The
it as a
drummers of
source at the end of the day.
fantasy
You know, you
Yeah.
probably find that it's like unwieldy to play. Like,
Yeah.
It's
And
No, it's
different.
For
not.
what
You
it's
know.
worth, it costs about $14 to bind your own hardback.
Yeah.
Really?
And listen, if you had the original, you'd have to do that because every original 40K hardback Rogue Trader, fucking pages would just fly out by now.
yeah, I bought a
I never
laminator,
opened my books past
and I'm going to
this,
get one of
since
those
Unearthed
spiral
Volcano.
bound. I'm going to get one of those spiral bound thingies and start printing my own. Because, like,
Bunches.
one reason why I haven't gotten into one page rules is because there's no book. I usually like to buy the book. I hate
There is
PDFs.
one, isn't there? They have a
Hate
printed
'em.
version, don't they?
Hate them.
It's got,
If
like,
someone sends me a
scenarios
PDF,
and
I'm
arc
like,
lists and
oh,
shit.
thank you so much. I'm deleting that straight away.
Yeah, I've got several books that they were PDFs that I found,
Mhm.
and then I just had them custom printed into hardback.
Okay, how much
Instead
is
of
that?
paying the
Cool.
$85.
Wait a minute. Who did you go through?
I've used a couple different companies. They were all online. I just Googled and I did some price comparison. I think one of them was Lumo, maybe.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because some of them are doing it, some of them don't. I was just, since you've had good luck with, I'd rather go with someone that actually has done it than anything else. So that's why I was asking, because they would talk about Lulu and a few others, but then
I
they
need to
got
get a
banned
printer. Shit, I
for
don't
some
even have
stuff. Well, here,
I'm gonna try
Yes,
and power. I'm gonna try and power through a few more Romans and maybe give someone else a bit of a spot as well.
hey,
It's pretty
we-
chaotic
we-
after about 4 people, I think.
James L. I don't want to hear about your sex life there. So
I will be oiling every centurion personally, just to make sure
Keep
that they
talking.
are nice
Oh,
and slippery
Keep talking.
for the clash of man-on-man violence.
he's
Also-
gonna go over and he's gonna make sure he watches Spartacus. You know the
Watch
that
it.
series.
Have
Live
it
it.
running all the time.
You know what? When I was
Centurion is master of 100 men.
when I was in
Oh, there you go.
I was in
The women shudder in the audience.
no, I was in Afghanistan, and they had and they had the room with the IT people all there. And we walk in, and so I'm walking in, and a couple of the female soldiers are like, "Hey, go put on Dexter," or "Yeah, go put on." And then, so I'm sitting there.
Where did James go?
He was leaving. He said bye. That's what.
Oh, okay.
See you,
But he said before I go, I have to go pound out some Romans. Is what he was saying. So
yeah, I gotta go. It's 3 hours in, man. It's like 10 o'clock. It's past my bedtime, dude.
I know. I was almost done with this guy, and I was just like,
so
Always
what
a
are you
pleasure.
working on there?
I have
You
one
guys
little
do
thing
my
to say
painting
before
challenge.
I go.
Diver, I expect you to do some shit, dude. Do something weird. Some monster or some bullshit.
I got nothing. I literally, it's those movie reviews sapped every ounce of my time this October. I have this cuck man right here. He's a beast man. Uh-oh.
There you go.
You got
Something.
5
Just send me
days,
something,
HC. You got 5 days.
I've
Yeah,
got
you're
5
good.
days. I can finish painting up this Celtic Miniatures skeletal rider,
That's enough.
which I really should because they're a channel sponsor. So I've got to get that done, and I've got to get working on his chariot.
There you go.
My lazy ass just kind of ran out of time. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave all of you. Thank you for having me.
Whoa, HD. One thing before you go. I wish James would have stayed here. Bo kind of spurred an idea that we've been talking about for a little bit about either creating a magazine or a freaking maybe a newsletter until we can get it off the ground of doing exactly what we did here tonight, showing people tips and tricks and talking about the stuff. If anybody's interested out there in TV land, focusing on the painting and the crafting and making games better, because there isn't a good magazine that's out there right now that kind of delves into all the different stuff we do without being beholden to one company. If you guys are interested in something like that, hit us up in Discord or in the chat or something like that at some point, because I kind of like that idea. I miss being able to get like something in the mail, and sitting, in the toilet or whatever, just reading something that isn't like
That's where
on
my
digital
library's at.
format. You know what I mean? So this was a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody who showed up. Going to do this again every Thursday night until I can't do it no more. I got a bunch of stuff done tonight. Going to just show off the big bad boy one more time. I gave him some Go Fast metallic red.
What is that
Spider
monster?
invasion.
Is that a magic 8-ball spider?
It was a Halloween candy dish.
It was a Halloween
The
candy dish.
Arachna raves.
Arachna raves, exactly.
And I've actually got an orc rider because it's my Orktober challenge. I'm going to put a little orc rider on it.
Just
they
paint
do
a
the
swastika on there, and it's a fucking weird war woman.
No.
I can just take the orc off. But what do you call it? This was my Orktober challenge, so I had to put an orc on it. But I'm going to make it so I can take them off because I do like the idea of just being able to because it's got lots of DACA. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 13 different guns on them. It's just goofy as hell, but I'll show it off.
So I gotta say this for Nerd. It's not only is it a rave, but it's also the classic tarantula. When it bites you, you have to dance.
And believe it or not, this cost me $2.50 and some straws and a little bit of paint. $2.50 at the dollar store.
All right. So as far as a magazine, I think that would be interesting. There is War Games Illustrated. They're a UK publication, and I like I said, the Americans aren't stepping it up in terms of doing something like that. So when winter hits this year, I'll have a little bit more time to check out Discord and start doing that kind of stuff and getting the double streaming up on Rumble and everything, and just getting settled in for the next year of stuff that I'm going to do. But yeah, I could definitely contribute a little bit to the magazine if asked to.
What's it going to take? A little bit of writing, some photographs, and we'll find some people who can put it all together. And
we could do a War Gamers calendar. There we go.
That could be an article within the mag. I don't know
about
the
ladies.
I
The,
get
the,
this
the, the
magazine
sexiest
from-
miniatures, and you're gonna be looking at them, and they're gonna be like the
No, I'm talking about
you know-
us, man.
Oh.
Give me an Aspida, guaranteed seller.
Maybe. I mean, like I even said on stream, like I'm like, I look terrible without a shirt on, you know, like a chimp from Chernobyl or something like that. The Chernobyl pansies. You know, just like
So do you
oh,
think
God.
there's a market? Hey, nerd, do you think there's a market for sexy, older wargaming guys on a calendar?
I wouldn't know anything about that.
There you go.
That's cool. We can
Uh,
get you
see,
too.
see,
It doesn't have to be guys. It can be to everybody. That'd be cool.
right. You know what? If the articles are good, I don't see why not.
We have
Just
a cover.
to be able to,
Centerfold.
there's a guy out there I know. I forget his name, but he does one, but it's digital, and printing's getting easier and cheaper, etc. I used to love getting magazines in the mail, for the hobby and things like that. Not just the comic books I subscribe to, but you know what? Pretty soon, this kind of thing is going to be a thing of the past, and at the very least, we could, leave our mark, a little bit here, a little bit there,
I'm down.
So that's all I wanted to say, other than thank you guys. This was actually a hell of a lot of fun, and you guys are all invited back next week. Whoever wants to show up, come in and talk.
Thursdays is a way good day for me. I'm gonna get this sorted out. I've been awkwardly over here. That's so
Letters,
I can use
paper.
I have these are it's in back, and so I just got to figure out a way to get it closer. But
You're
I'll get
always
some longer
welcome.
ones. All right.
It was great talking to all of you. Nerds Nerd, just let me know when you want to do one-on-one. Hell, I've done a one-on-one with Brian and kind of Omen. I'm getting ready to do something. I want to do something special for you, Brian, for getting out of the hospital and stuff. And Omen, Omen, you deserve one as well. And HD, maybe you want to get.
We need to know the origin story of
yeah.
Holy Diver.
It's up there. It's my intro video. If you want to know the origin story, just watch my intro video. Don't forget to leave a like. And before I go, all 4 of the videos for Halloween are out. I ended with a Japanese film, as is my custom since the year before. It's called Sweet Home 1989. So check that out. You guys all have a good night. Nice meeting you, nerds. And we'll see y'all again. Okay.
Awesome. Take care, everybody.
Yeah,
Love you guys.
Take
I will see you guys probably, throughout the
Tomorrow,
week.
for
I'm
sure.
going to see half of you tomorrow night. So let's give Bo what for tomorrow night, and
Is he gonna
put
show
on
up
my
tomorrow?
charm real good tomorrow.
Wait,
let's
is
get
he
off the
actually gonna
damn
show up
station,
tomorrow?
shall we? Yeah, tomorrow.
I always get frustrated because if you know you're not going to show up, could you give me like at least notice several hours instead of me just guessing?
Yeah, that's what Discord works well for. Nerd, we got to get you into a game too. Name your poison, and we'll find you a game to get in with some of us weirdos. You down for that?
I have not heard of 75% of the games you all have mentioned. Like, I am willing to learn, but y'all start talking acronyms like OSE, BX.
Don't even worry
Okay, well,
about
wait. What?
Okay,
what
here's the
do you
easiest
like?
question.
What genres do you like? That's
Thank
the
you.
first
You
question.
beat me to it.
Yeah.
So and so. Hey, what's up, Mike?
Pretty eclectic. I like fantasy. I like sci-fi. I like
you go.
historical, alternate history. But I am new into this area.
Oh, okay. So if you're going to do that, we're let's see the other because I've been looking at some of the systems like, oh, I'd like to try this one. Oh, I'd like to try that one. Oh, I'd like to try this one. That's what some of the
Ask Bo
things.
if there's an opening on Friday.
There probably is an opening
Game
because because none of us can seem to show up the same night anyway.
Hey, I have only. I don't
I
even
was in
think
the
I missed
hospital.
one night.
So.
I don't even think I missed one night.
Well, I've missed every night that I've told you I'm going to miss a night. That's because I give you guys 7 days notice. But that's the problem that I have with it is Bo. That's my one complaint with it is if you aren't showing up every night and you don't let me know in advance, I just rather just say, you know what, I'll just drop out of the game for that. And that's, it's not that hard. We have Discord. Just type in there, hey, no game tonight. Okay,
Are you on
cool.
Discord, nerds?
I am, and I've been meaning to ask. I heard you have one, but I have not seen any links or anything.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Shadow
man, we
and
all got
Sun. I'm awful with links because I'm a Philistine. You know what? Hold on. I think I can make it real easy. It will take me like 8
You're on
seconds.
mine, aren't you, nerd? On my Discord.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, because I've
Yeah, so
talked
just-
to you on there. Yeah.
So there's GURPS. I'll be honest, GURPS is fine as a system. I just hate character creation. I just despise.
Right.
Yeah, but
No,
she's not
I
going to
wanna-
be doing that. She's
No,
just.
no, I
playing.
want to
Yeah.
get her into something that's like easy, maybe old school, maybe not. But the most important question is, what are you in the mood for? And for those people out there interested, my Discord is Shadow and Sun, just like capital S, and it's number 1906. I'm gonna put that right here in the chat.
Okay. So let's see. It depends if you want to do the old school. Ye Old Geek has one at what time zone you are, nerd?
Mountain.
Mountain. Okay, well that's kind of early because they would have one at 7 and then usually one about 1 o'clock on Saturdays, 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. Depending on what your schedule is.
Hey, nerd, come play with us. I got to bail out, but hey, you guys keep it weird.
Yeah,
and,
me too, guys.
hope-
Me too.
hopefully
Gamma
I'll
World.
see
That
you
sounds like
Friday.
fun. I love that game. You got my Discord. We'll get you into something. Just because you said you were the Eternal GM. I was the Eternal GM for 40 years.
It
and I
sucks to
tell
be
you-
pigeonholed in that. Yeah.
There's nothing like getting into a good game with good folks where you can just kick back and enjoy the ride for a bit.
True.
So we'll get you in. Just think about it. What would you, if you could play in the ultimate game, whether it's sci-fi, fantasy, horror, Western, whatever, think about what that is. Let me know, because I'm also going to be running a game at in January, couple of nights a week. And, I'm going to have some newbies in the game. So that might be the ticket for you, because I actually really like playing with people who've just started, who want to get into it, because I want to not necessarily babysit them, but teach them some old ways.
So
and definitely encourage the hell out of them.
Well, and the other thing is new players tend to bring fresh ideas rather than trying to min that, because once you know the system, a lot of times people min max the system rather than doing what makes sense and
Or fun.
whereas, well, I'm not saying it's no fun. It's just
exactly.
But I know that you've done Pathfinder. I've heard a lot of people say that you start maximizing everything, and you go, well, that's not necessarily that much fun. I'll tell you what I'd like to do at some point. So I'd like to run DCC just because for some of that stuff in there.
Hey, set it up. We'll make it happen. I've got all the PDFs you sent me, but I do got to get going. I know Brian's getting kind of itchy. Thanks again, everybody, for showing up. This was wonderful. Thank you, Dungeon Minister, for showing up again, and everybody else in the show. I can't thank you guys enough. This was awesome, and we'll do it again next week. Same bat time, keeping it weird, same bat channel, and of course, happy trails.